Dum-ba-dum.
Hello, guys. Welcome to Super Geeks Avengers Endgame spoiler review. I need to warn you guys, and it will be in the header, that if you are watching this video when it gets released, we are going to talk spoilers. We're going to talk about Endgame, but there's a lot of people that want to talk about this movie. Joining us for the third time since we started this podcast overall is my good friend and host of another good podcast, probably better than mine, but Geek-Easy. My friend Adam Ihle. How you doing, Adam?
Hey, how's it going? How's it going?
Look at that animated avatar. That is dope shit right there. So I'm excited to have you here, Adam.
Technology.
Yeah, technology. I was excited that Adam could join us at the last minute. He just said, hey, reached out to me, and I said, hey, you want to join us? I said, well, okay. As long as
Sure, why not?
As long as the wife's okay with it.
We're going to be doing, as long as my wife's cool with it, but we're going to be doing this tomorrow.
I totally get it.
On the Geek-Easy, so, yeah. Anybody wants to pop back over and actually, because this will be live, well, when are you guys posting this? Because we're going live tomorrow night on Saturday. Okay, well, then it's going to be...
I'm going to actually jump on this because I think it's a worthy thing. So I will extra effort.
And we too will be spoiling
seeing this movie.
We on the Geek, so if you're over on Twitch or on the Facebooks, follow us. Actually, no. We're pimping it. Geek-Easy's on Twitch, so just look for Geek-Easy on Twitch, and that's us.
I have no problem pimping it because I consider Adam and Geek-Easy to all be friends of the show. I actually go and troll them on their Twitch live chat.
Yes, you do.
I do.
Yes.
And by troll, I'm sure he means visit politely.
Yes, he does visit politely. Yeah,
I offer constructive criticism, but I'm actually pretty nice.
But we thrive on that kind of stuff. We thrive on people talking with us. So,
and he's very interactive with his Twitch fans. So I Twitch a lot. So as far as, anyways, and also
George, those are called delirium tremors, George.
Twitch.
Also with me today is Sean, and Sean, we tested this earlier before we started broadcasting, but you're wearing pants today, right?
I am. I'm in the office, so I haven't had a chance to go home and really relax.
I'm not going to make you stand up and prove it because I feel this.
Well, he's wearing pants, so it's like, see, actual pants.
You can edit that shit on like Adam did with his avatar. So I'm just saying.
Yep, it's all technology. Those are CGI pants.
They could be. I'm just saying. And also with us today is my good friend Carlos Pedraza. How are you, Carlos?
Ready for action.
He's ready for action, people, like Sean with his pants, except in a different context. Anyways, so we all watched a great film recently.
Wait, what film did you see?
Shazam!
Justice League.
Oh, wait.
Shazam was awesome. Don't even go there.
It was.
We love Shazam.
No, we love
Shazam.
And we gave it the only 10
I love that movie.
By the way, this is the Shazam, up until now, we'll talk about this. Shazam was actually one of the highest rated things we ever talked about. Sean, Sean almost put his pants back on talking about Shazam. Just saying.
Yeah, I love that.
That was like something.
I would think his level of excitement would lead to the reverse.
Yes.
He's like the reverse Flash, but reverse pants. I don't know. Let's start off. Joe, here's the other thing. Joe, who's hosting the Zoom chat, Joe has not seen this movie, but he didn't mind spoilers. He asked me a few questions. I told him everybody that died, and we'll talk about that, and everybody who lived, and he was just like, cool, man. He didn't care. So I like Joe for that reason, that he's just passionate about it.
I was fine with the spoilers because obviously Justice League is way better than Endgame.
Clearly.
No, it could have been. It so could have been better.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers jumped in and said, "You can't do this."
So, Adam, let's talk about that.
Make a good film, right? No.
Yeah, let's talk. Let me ask Adam, since he's our guest. The first scene, the pre-credit opener, shocked everybody because you start off with they figure out where Thanos is and the world is in shatters, and they go to find him, and Thor does what he does, and all this stuff happens before they even. And by the way, you can swear on the show; it's okay.
Okay. Poop.
This whole
poop
before the credits even start, before the opener even starts, they try to shock the audience with, by the way, we're gonna find Thanos, and Captain Marvel's just like, she brings Tony back with the ship and everything, and she's, hey, let's go kill that mother effer, and they all just go, all right, and let's try, and boom, they get right into it. Adam, your thoughts on how they did that sequence?
I thought, okay, like that's because you said the opening sequence, and that's not the opening sequence.
Right,
The opening sequence is
Yeah,
Tony
the
Stark.
opening. No, the opening sequence was Hawkeye.
Oh, that's
The opening,
right.
the opening sequence is Hawkeye,
Carry on, sir.
and it was that right there was just like it was sad because you knew what was going to happen.
Right.
It was
And you didn't
You saw it coming,
Yep.
and you're like, oh man. And I mean, the fact that they all disappeared made it even worse. It was just like, okay, so,
Yeah, what's 50% of the whole
I can't
family?
believe It brought me to tears. It was heartbreaking.
Anybody with a family?
No, I didn't go to tears on that one, but the when they got to the other stuff, I expected that. I expected the now Cap being as brutal as he was and ready to do it. I was like, yeah, this is a guy who's pissed. So, and he was a soldier. I didn't expect Thor to decapitate him. Did not see that coming. I was like, oh,
He went for the head, like you said, right?
he went for the head.
He had regret that he could have solved all of it if he had just gone for the head. Like,
Was that before the credit? Did they actually before they did the
Yes.
opening title?
Yes. I've seen it 3 times, and yes. Once legitimately, 2 times not. So I'm not going to get into that, but yeah.
Except
Well,
you just did.
Jude abides.
I'm just letting you know that.
Thank you.
But the thing is that yes.
I think you saw my meme.
Yes.
No, now it goes.
Just get him a Stella Artois, and he'll be all good.
So keep going, Adam.
No, it was. I'm going to preface this because the opening 5 minutes of this movie, or 10, 15 minutes of this movie, moved me more and had me more engaged in the story than the entire 2 hours and whatever minutes that Infinity War was. Because I found Infinity War to be boring and drawn out, knowing that there was an ending to the story.
Uh-huh.
It's interesting.
It was like, really, there was no weight to that film whatsoever because I knew there was a second half to it. It was like, oh, yay, everybody this and everybody. I was like, okay, saw it coming. And they telegraphed it all over the place.
And the only value I got out of Infinity War was that it accomplished making Thanos sympathetic as a character,
But then they turned it right around in this film.
Right, exactly. They flipped the script entirely. And what was interesting about these opening 2 scenes before the opening titles was, of course, the Hawkeye's heartbreaking loss of his family, and they drew that out pretty well. That was pretty built up, and then they went right from that to the scene. Basically from that to the scene where they go after Thanos, and everybody in the fucking audience is thinking,
You forgot Captain Marvel
now. And
you forgot Captain Marvel saving Tony Stark.
Yeah. We're all, the whole audience is just bent on revenge for Hawkeye alone. In that opening scene.
Yep. I agree. So that happens, and then they get to that big. Wait. Before I move on, so Sean, you just said what you thought. Carlos, what did you think of that opener? After you get done with your drink.
Well, I thought it was great. I thought in terms of pacing and buildup of tension, it was fantastic. I thought, one of the things that I think really makes this movie stand out over almost any other superhero movie I've seen, except maybe Shazam, is its attention to character. Yeah. And, they pulled off a pretty amazing feat in this film, because it is Infinity War, which I think I liked a little bit more than you guys did, but it still felt really overstuffed, whereas this, even though it had as many people in it, as many characters in it, it worked seamlessly.
Yes.
And, the way it moved from one to the other, and how it was really just this tapestry of great character moments, I thought was handled exceedingly well. You can tell there was a lot of attention to detail in how the cinematography was done, how the acting was done.
Definitely.
There were many points where I choked up throughout the whole movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Starting.
Did
I was
that
going to say,
before?
starting with when Captain Marvel appears to save Tony Stark, it was
Yeah.
just like, who the hell? It was like you see this golden
Like,
thing.
didn't they describe
he
it?
It was
like,
Red
realizes
Angel.
it is.
It was the Red Angel.
You know? Yeah, you know what? It's kind of funny. They did kind of describe her as an angel, as like a glowing angel that came to the rescue.
You didn't find that to be a little contrived and almost like, okay, in all of space, she just happened to find that ship?
No,
just
she didn't.
nowhere?
Adam, I'll actually back this up a little bit. If you look at it like this happened after the end credit scene from Captain Marvel, she knew to look for them. Get it? Like,
Okay.
think about it that way. From that,
Well, Captain Marvel was a waste of a film for me, so.
well, okay, I understand. We did rag on it a little bit in our review, but listen, if you look at the end credit, in my perspective, she came down to Earth first, following the beeper, and
Okay.
then she said,
No, we knew she
"Where's
was
Fury?"
looking for Tony Stark.
We knew she was coming. We knew she was
So-
coming. Yeah, we knew she was coming, but Tony wasn't on Earth.
So my perspective is, it wasn't a coincidence.
Of course it wasn't. Nobody thinks that.
She left from that scene and went and found Tony.
Yeah, I think we know that.
Okay, no, I was.
It's not very clear though. If you literally,
Well, here's what to Carlos' point. One of the things that Marvel has excelled at, even if the films haven't been that great, is the character development.
yeah,
And even if it's like, you know, characters that you never expect would get their own movies, like Ant-Man, like the Guardians of the Galaxy. They developed these characters so well, and that was in Doctor Strange even. That was what I think was lost the most in Infinity War, is they were just shoving shit into every single scene and not really giving these characters any kind of real personal moments. And
right.
This in Endgame, I agree with Carlos. It did it so perfectly, where everyone was integral to the plot, and it was even like when you've got characters like you've got the Spider-Man and even Captain Marvel, who had limited screen time, their contributions were still incredibly important for the film. And it was just the way that they put this film together. It was so impressive compared to Infinity War. And I have to say this because I think I gave Captain Marvel like a 6.5. Maybe
Yeah,
6.
you were about.
Oh, that's generous.
But here's the thing. My opinion of that film is less now after seeing this, because I'm asking, what was the point of that whole film? I assumed she was going to have more of a central role in the film itself. In this film, which would have justified doing her own separate film. Now, are they going to give her more films? Is she
Oh,
getting-
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
All right,
when they come back, because
they
the
held her back.
dollars.
They held her back because she was too powerful.
Avengers aren't over.
Right.
The Avengers are definitely not over because they're planning on a new team.
Right. Which happens.
And the new team,
in comics all
yeah,
the
the new team will be another Captain America, as we saw. We'll talk about that later, I guess.
Yeah.
But Carol Danvers, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man. What they did, possibly what they did, I think they opened up was another Hulk movie. Finally.
No, Adam,
opened the
they're not.
door.
They actually announced they're doing a Hulk TV show with She-Hulk.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, so they opened that up.
That doesn't mean he's not going to be in the movies, but that's what they're planning.
Carol, yeah, and I agree with Sean on that. The Captain Marvel movie it's like I gave that maybe a 4 out of 10 because
Oh, really? That's really good.
Character development,
I don't even think I've ever
editorial
done that.
editorial issues all throughout that film. The film was a mishmash. There was some editing choices that made me shake my head because when I look at a movie, if I'm not entertained, and believe me, I was not entertained by Captain Marvel because I felt that there was nothing I felt for her whatsoever. I was like, okay, are you going to emote at least once? Are you going to give us any kind of something?
I'm not going to jump ahead, but let's at least give her this. There were moments in this film that they use her. Let's use the word sparingly. Because
They use her sparingly.
Even Kevin Feige said she's the most powerful. They recognize she's the Superman of the Marvel universe. If she comes in, Thanos stood no chance against her, and I love that. But here's the thing: they used her. Plot-wise, they used her very sparingly, and when she was utilized in this film, it was done smartly, and it sets up the future. Like
I agree.
So
I agree. My daughter has a theory, and she wanted to know why no one thought of this during the Infinity War. Why not just shrink Ant-Man down to the microscopic size, and then go into Thanos' ear, and then just blow himself up?
People said the same theory about going up his butt. It's been an ongoing.
No, I didn't know about the up the butt.
Yeah, that's been
for about 6 months now. They've been talking about that.
Like, could he just go up his butt and go, you know?
Oh, did I tell you? I told George this, and this is the absolute truth. I did not see a single trailer for this movie. I avoided it.
You never saw. Well, they didn't give us a lot in the trailers anyway, so you're safe.
And in the trailers, they didn't reveal the same scenes.
Themselves on this promotion. They knew everybody was going to go see it anyways. They withheld, right, Adam? You know what I'm saying? They withheld.
Yeah, they did. They withheld it. They withheld a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a 3-hour movie. 2 minutes, a 2-minute trailer for a 3-hour film isn't going to show you.
It was only the first act that they didn't show anything to get you to understand what was going to happen in the heat of it. They just showed you the calm stuff, like to get you going.
Well, what they didn't show you really at all was the heart of the movie, Act 2, which was the time heist.
You're right.
Which was cool. That was such a great comic book set of sequences. Like that's what would happen in the comics is you break up into teams, each one going after its own thing. Each team would have its own like little arc within the bigger arc, and they pulled it off beautifully.
You know what's funny, Carlos?
I like how they reference all the different references they made to where their knowledge of time travel came from, Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? This film was very self-aware. They knew they were like, if they're going to do time travel, they're going to like pull off some tropes. So they were like, if we're going to be self-referential, self-aware, we might as well make some fun out of it. We're going to talk about Star Trek.
They weren't really being aware of themselves. They were being aware of our world, I guess, if you want to.
You know what I mean, though.
Put it that way. But it was a novel. It was a novel approach to time travel, and that basically you're not really going. You can't change your past. You're changing a past, but not yours. And it's a convenient plot device because it allows you to, like, if you mess up getting which stone was it they messed up that Loki disappeared with?
Oh,
the Tesseract.
The Tesseract.
Oh, the Tesseract there was 3 versions in New York or whatever. It was like which one?
Yeah, so they had to go to the early one in the 70s.
Right.
To get it.
By the way, we have to say that 70s.
Yes, but you know what? That is the one hole they left open in the film. Because even though they tried to explain their way around it. Well, if you go back to your past, it's now your future and all that kind of stuff. And they pulled into that. They finally got the Tesseract in 1970. But the Tesseract in 2012 disappeared with Loki and was never returned back to its original.
I actually think if you look back on this, I know it's going to sound...
It's a different timeline.
Yeah,
it's a different timeline.
It's a different timeline, so they screwed the future, the timeline.
But you have to listen to Tilda, which I try to in my day-to-day life. Listen to Tilda Swinton, and your life will go as it should.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I love about what Carlos just said. So for all us geeks,
they did it with an infographic for Christ's sake.
She used
It was like
magic. It
was the magic
but
of a PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, but exactly. And in her explanation that if it did not come back, and they were very clear, unless you bring it back to that point in time, the timeline will diverge.
It becomes about
create an alternate future.
Right.
In the timeline in 2012, Loki escaped, bringing the Tesseract back to Thanos.
Okay, first of all, Thanos,
that timeline, they screwed that timeline horribly.
You win a little, you lose a little.
I actually think it's a lot better than Doctor Who going timey-wimey.
Not my timeline.
Exactly. It's not my problem. It's not my timeline. As long as I can get back to my timeline, we're all good.
I actually don't. They did at least make an effort. It's not going to ever be perfect because nobody knows.
That's the opening they have for the Loki TV show.
Exactly.
And also, we're going to talk about this later, but they announced Scarlet.
Loki's getting his own show?
and Vision.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
on
Loki.
Disney
Yeah, he's
Plus.
getting a 13 episode on Disney
And
Plus.
not only that, Sean, but they're going to do Scarlet Witch and the Vision in the 50s. First of all, Vision was never. We'll talk about this. He never came back because of the whole Mind Stone. But whatever.
Yeah, but George, what you have to
Not
remember
to
is
jump ahead, but
this is the comics. This is like
no,
this is
we're
all
talking about
fiction.
The shows.
No one's
It's
ever
all
really
fiction.
dead.
No one's ever really dead.
Yeah.
Unless
They
you're
figure out
Marvel.
ways- Right. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's
He's dead.
Yeah.
He's been dead.
Well, it's
No, he is dead.
I know.
Marvel in the comics is dead.
I agree, but in this unit, we talked about this, Adam, and whatever.
we don't. And,
Yes.
Yeah, and it's
I
not
actually
really.
got chewed out by Carlos and Sean because I wouldn't let it go about Marvel. Just like
Yeah, he really wouldn't. So let's not go down that road again.
So I'm just letting you know.
I was getting all ready to yell at you again, George.
Right, and Adam, I'm just letting you know we did address this. I'm not a purist, but I was like, for me, Marvel was. I was like,
He has a hard on for
Let's-
Marvel.
let's-
It's the hair, I think.
it
My
is.
only
Those long,
issue was what
blonde locks. They flow.
Yeah,
my only issue with the way they treated him in that film was it just felt like a throwaway.
well,
That's my only issue, and I was like, okay, if you're gonna just because it's a Carol Danvers
all right, let's
story
move on.
and you want to throw it away, okay.
Let's move on a little bit. So we get past the credits. So Thor chops off Thanos' head and his arm, and they thought it was going to work, but guess what? It didn't. So then it goes to the biggest thing that caused my audience to go crazy 5 years later, right? It goes, everybody.
I was waiting for Tom Kenny to go 5 years later.
I mean, so we're like, we're in the 5 years later zone, and everybody's trying to move on with their lives. And Tony and Pepper have a child named Morgan, their daughter, which was cute. But everybody else is like having a hard time because the world is having a hard time adjusting to 50% of everybody going crazy. And that's why Captain Marvel says, Carol says, I can't. You're not the only planet this shit has happened on. It's happening on every other planet too. Thanos didn't just do this to Earth. The Earth isn't the center of the universe. So basically, it's like she's very kind, by the way. I love how everything they talk about when she shows up and they're making their plans. Like she's very like.
So she's like the Deanna Troy of
She
Marvel?
kind.
God, I hope not,
and
'cause-
only slightly less useless. But George, I think the point of doing that was this was so they could have a reason to keep her out of the main.
Right.
They had to.
thrust
She's
of
too
the
powerful.
movie because this film was really about our core Avengers.
Yes.
Yes,
So that's-
she doesn't have a part in this story yet.
Right, exactly.
Well, not only
But
that,
right,
but you don't want
Tom
to.
Kenny. Speaking of Tom Kenny, Adam, do you know that I had breakfast with Tom Kenny last year?
Really?
Wait, who's
I
talking?
saw the photos.
My-
Tom
my-
Kenny
my
is the voice.
daughter-
He's the voice of SpongeBob. He goes, "Hey everybody, I'm ready. I'm ready."
But can you remind me who this person even is? I'm sorry to be.
Voice of
he's
SpongeBob.
Voice of SpongeBob. Voice of
Yeah, but in this
Starscream. One of the
context.
Transformers.
He was what? I just don't recognize the name. That's all. Sorry.
He's Tom Kenny's a very famous voice actor.
Voice actor.
Yes.
Specifically known for SpongeBob, for being the voice of
But
SpongeBob.
where
Yeah,
was
he's
he?
the voice of SpongeBob.
In this film, though.
No, he wasn't.
It
Oh, I
was
thought
the
you-
5 years later joke.
Have you ever watched SpongeBob?
Of course.
George,
my
have you
daughter-
ever watched SpongeBob? Okay,
My
okay.
daughter, yeah.
When they do those 4 hours later, that's Tom Kenny.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
exactly. So
Yes.
yeah, so we were at a comic or a toy convention last year. My daughter and I paid for my daughter and I to go have breakfast with Tom Kenny. It was pretty amazing. The guy's amazing. He's a really fun guy. On to the movie. We've only
On
got
to
2
the
hours
movie.
and 45 minutes left to cover.
Let's go. Faster.
Captain America, Adam.
Hmm?
Captain America, Adam.
Okay, where are we going? Where are we at? We're at the time travel stuff, right?
Well, no, wait.
Yeah,
The heist?
we're
Leading into it, yeah.
We're skipping over the
end.
Ant-Man part.
Right.
Wait. Shoot.
The
That's one of the
convenient
parts,
rat.
by the way. That's one of the parts, by the way, and this was hilarious. One of those articles about best places in the 3-hour movie to go to the bathroom, and the whole Ant-Man waking up in San Francisco part. They're like,
Yeah.
all exposition. Go to the bathroom. You've got to
Right.
go.
Yeah.
By the way, that rat that stepped on the button, everybody's not talking about. We need to meme that motherfucker. He's like the hero of this entire. If it wasn't for him, Thanos would have won.
Super
That
convenient
rat,
rat
that
placement.
fucking rat who stepped on that button is the unsung hero of the entire saga.
He needs to join the Avengers.
He needs to be an unofficial Avenger, like Squirrel Girl. You got Rat Person, whatever.
I mean,
Hey, Squirrel
look,
Girl, one of the few people to actually beat Thanos with her bare hands.
You know, she did actually. It's fucked up.
She knocked him clean out.
She did. We need to like recognize though that rat who stepped on that button, because without him,
None of this would have happened.
Going to be B. You know, they need to like put him in the credits, just something. You know, I'm just saying.
No rats were harmed in the filming of this movie.
I don't think they
Especially
were.
that
I don't even know if it
CG
was
one
a
that they put in.
CGI rat or if it was. A
It
real
was.
rat.
It was a not real. It wasn't a real rat.
well, I'll tell you about that scene. One thing I didn't like about that scene was that when Scott was reunited with his daughter, because it softened a bit of the the blow of the Hawkeye scene for me a little bit. So I was like, oh well, at least he's
A little
got
bit.
her. I mean, a little bit, you know. So.
You know what? Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying.
You never find out about his ex-wife and her husband, though.
Oh, fuck them.
Well, they ended up coming back.
Why are you
so-
holding your mouth? You can swear. It's fine.
True.
Sean, you
know
know
I can't.
But yeah, that would have been a perfect place to go to the bathroom because there really was nothing in
Nothing
there
going
aside from the reuniting with his daughter that was worth really sitting through.
All right, guys. While we're on this subject, if we have to
Okay.
tell anybody out there watching, when is the best time to go to the bathroom? Because this has been like a huge meme thing and whatever. Like, honestly, we've all seen the movie. If in hindsight, if you had to just recommend when the absolute perfect time would be to go take a shit or a piss, whatever, when would it be?
Aside from
I
Ant-Man?
say you don't leave.
No,
You
this
jump
movie.
right before.
And this movie.
No, aside from the Ant-Man
Aside
sequence.
from the-
Anytime.
Hulk eating lunch.
Oh,
Yes.
ooh, I don't know.
That's
Tacos.
another one.
No, the Hulk eating lunch in the diner.
In the diner, yeah.
Oh yeah, with the selfies.
Right
Yeah.
after everybody gets their stone, their Infinity Stone. Right after that, you can go because there's nothing going on for a few minutes.
It's really hard to
That's true. Yeah.
describe a moment.
And you might need to get up because of that. We'll get to that, but you might need to get up and go wipe your eyes.
Yeah.
I see where you're going there. Oh wow. For
Yeah,
me,
that was the only part of the movie where I really was like, "Are you kidding me?
guys,
Really?"
I'm going to tell you a true story. I went to the taco store today. I'm serious. All right, I'm not joking. Joe knows what I'm talking about. I went to the taco store today, and when I went there, they were like, "Why are we getting so many goddamn taco orders today?" They could because it's not their normal time that they have a taco Tuesdays. Usually is their Taco Tuesday thing for a discount. And the lady was just like, "Why is it so cheap? Why is everybody coming here asking for tacos today?" And I said, "Well," I said, "Avengers Endgame came out." And she goes, "So?" And I said, "Well, they back when Avengers 1 came out,
Shawarma.
was actually shawarma was it was on the news. It got escalated like the shawarma people that made shawarma in whatever stores, they couldn't keep up. Same thing happened with tacos. And she says, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Ask someone. Did you see Endgame?" And as soon as I said that, the guy behind me said, "Oh my God, I need a taco because of the Hulk in that movie."
So this was product placement by
Yes.
by Taco Bell. Or
No, just tacos in general. And it was like
I don't think it was an actual.
Wasn't product placement. It
Wasn't product placement.
It
It
was
was
just
just
a
food.
taco.
Just a
Two times, Sean, a taco is just.
It's just a taco.
I'm not even lying. I'm not making this up.
We
When
believe you, George.
she was like, "Oh my God, I'm getting so many taco orders today." I'm like, you know, a bit Endgame just came out. Oh my God, I know I'm repeating myself, but it was just
Yes,
funny.
you are.
Like,
Yes, you are. Shall we move on?
George, it's
Yes,
a
let's move on.
3-hour movie we got to get through here.
I know we do.
Yeah.
So we get past this part. I have to talk about Fat Thor. PTSD, anyone? That guy was awesome. That Thor is my hero because I'm just saying.
He's every man's Thor.
He really when he had the regret from what's that word I'm looking for? He had the fact that he regretted the fact he had the survivor's guilt. That's the word, like the Doctor and Doctor Who. He had the survivor's guilt. Well, he did because if he had just gone for the head, kind of thing. But then it didn't matter after that. And then he just he let it go. And then 5 years
And then
later,
he let himself go.
he let himself
Right.
go. And
George, I think it was a little bit more than survivor's guilt. I think it was more
Carry
the
on.
fact that this has to do with the conversation he had with his mother about what everyone expects.
well, that happens afterwards, though.
I understand that, but this is what this is about. Why? Because the problem with him is that Thor realized that he couldn't fix this. That's his big thing.
Yeah, he could just. Yeah.
He should have been able to fix this, and he couldn't. So, but here's the thing: what I do like about the portrayal of Thor in this is that they have not missed a beat with, and they've done this since the very first Thor movie. They've made Thor the comic relief, which you never thought would be possible, but they've managed to do it brilliantly.
Because of Chris Hemsworth.
I love Thor. He's great.
Yep.
But in the same vein, they were able to evolve the character from the corn cob up his butt, Thor,
Yeah.
to a character with some depth, because he really was very one note in the first movie.
Yep.
We don't even talk about the second one because it didn't happen.
But it was part of this story. We'll talk about that. It was part of this.
It was part of this. The movie was so bad. It really was.
I still haven't finished it.
You know what? It was, Adam, but I had
one
to
that
put it
likes
on the
that
recommend list because it was important to the.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to this one, and
It was
everything
slightly
ties
important.
together.
Right.
It was slightly important. But where was I going? Oh my god, I completely lost my train
One
of
note.
thought.
We were talking about him being one note.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was very one note all the way through, and then Ragnarok, they just kind of broke the mold and said, "Okay, we're going to let you go."
Better writers. Yep.
He was better writers, and they just let Hemsworth run with it instead of being that
Exactly.
stoic.
Yep.
I am the
I
god of.
work with him.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know him from work.
Yes.
We're friends from work.
And they let him be. They took an Asgardian and made him human, as it would be, and they let him run. And it was nice to see because his progression through it. I mean, they've all had progression. Captain America, actually, this one shows a lot further than, because, I mean, when we got to Age of Ultron, he was just like, language, and now all of a sudden he's the one who's just like,
Oh shit!
let's kill this son of a bitch, and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. It was like, all right.
Yeah,
So,
we're gonna get to that.
I was thinking the same thing. Yep.
Okay, so we get to that point, and Thor's just a mess, and they're trying to say, "Look, we have a solution. This might actually work." And by the way, we skipped over Professor Hulk. Now, for comic fans, we know the term Professor Hulk. For people that have never read the comics, which is perfectly fine, there's a thing in the comics where Bruce Banner merged all the versions of the Hulk to where he has the body of the Hulk and the brain of Bruce Banner. And that's what they kind of did in a very sensible fashion.
Yeah, they didn't spell it out. But I think the thing about this is that you have to remember that I continue to say this about all these films. These films aren't targeted really towards kids. They're targeted towards us X-Geners is what they're targeted towards. And I think most of the audience going in understood that version of the Hulk. They were at least aware of him.
I'm not so sure, but go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. That's really it. That our generation, who I think who this film was really targeted towards. I think most of them going into this.
Our generation, yes.
That was a version. That was the version of the Hulk.
But
I'll tell you when we get to it. I'll tell you what the biggest cheer of the night was. But we'll get there. It's not coming yet. But but we'll discuss it when it comes. And it's like, it was so funny because it's like, wow, it's like, these are my people. Like literally, did I go to high school to have these people? I think I did, because I mean, it was the type of thing that again, obviously the events were targeted. The event in the film was targeted towards us. It was a moment for us, our generation. So
honestly, I think it was targeted towards anybody who has watched, whether now or in the past, those 22 movies. That's just my opinion. I don't think it was
that makes sense. I agree with that, but I overall yes, but I think the call outs like that,
yeah,
and the course the Professor Hulk thing, I think that's clearly for people who have some awareness of the Professor.
Professor Hulk. Well, they drew from that. They drew from it.
The one thing they didn't address in this movie is that when he becomes Professor Hulk, he is not as strong as Raging Hulk.
Yeah, he also has only one working arm, right? Because he did the gauntlet attempt.
Well, no,
Well,
in the books, in the comic
Oh,
books,
right. But
Professor Hulk, he is not as strong.
By the way,
I didn't know that.
I never
That's
got the
that's-
impression that his arm injury was permanent. It was like still healing slowly. That was my
Yeah,
impression.
the Hulk regenerates. That's,
Right,
that's
but I just felt like by the time the end of the movie was he has that arm in a sling.
Like a starfish, but
yeah, like a
not
starfish.
as bad.
He's not permanently not going to be able to use that. When we get to the Hulk TV series, he's going to be able to use that arm. It's just it heals slowly, and in the course of this film, he couldn't, he had to use his left arm. But
Okay.
anyways,
So meanwhile,
I
back to the
have to
film.
admit-
meanwhile, Carlos, what do you think?
Back to the movie.
Carlo, hang on.
He has amazing regenerative ability.
He does,
Yeah.
and we haven't heard from Carlos in a while. Carlos, the last couple of things we talked about, what do you think?
Oh my goodness,
That was a lot of couple of things.
Well,
I'd rather we just move forward
All right.
because I'm happy
right.
with everything that's been said
Okay.
so far.
good news, everyone! I've invented a time machine.
oh my God, bathtub time machine, and they referenced all that. They made
Hot tub time machine. They included hot tub time machine.
They did, and those are the guys who created Cobra Kai. We'll talk about that later. And so like they figure out how to make it like, oh, we'll go back and fix this and do this. We got to grab the Infinity Stones, and they do these attempts. And of course, Ant-Man becomes a baby Ant-Man and an old man Ant-Man, and oh my God, it's so funny. I was like laughing my ass off. I was a little weirded out that Tony happens to, did he become old and young? And like he happens to know, figure it out. A little convenient, but whatever.
What, did he figure out time travel?
Yeah.
Well, he went off. I mean, they basically laid it out for him.
Yeah, that's
He
true.
was just tinkering with it,
That's true.
messing around with it.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
I mean, who else was it going to be coming back in the suit? I mean, of
Yeah.
course that was like you didn't really have to go into how he knew that. It's like, duh.
All right,
The-
so
the
They
best
haven't
line
introduced
is that,
Reed
though,
Richards yet, so
not yet,
Right.
but I have a feeling that's coming. We'll talk about that later.
The best line was, "I wet my suit, but I'm not sure if it was baby me or old me."
Oh yeah.
or could have just been me.
That was good. Or could have just
Right.
been me.
So they experiment with a time travel experiment to see if they can do this. And then we're getting to the point where they start going, okay, we're going to break up into teams, and we're going to just
Time heist. Time heist.
Time heist.
The best part of the movie.
Yes, the best part. We're getting to the meat. It's a 3-hour movie, so to break it down is a little bit.
Oh no, Carlos is right. That is the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, while the third act is very epic, the best part of the film is the second
Yeah,
act.
I agree. It was
Subjective, but I'll go with it.
Well, it was the Avengers being the Avengers.
Yeah.
The third act is sort of the whole hee-haw gang, versus Thanos,
Yeah,
which is great. But
I get it, but I'm old. So.
but that middle part, the time heist, that was pure Avengers. That was pure Avengers, and and it had lots of call-outs to different things, and it gave us a new view of things we saw in all the movies. Like one of my favorites was that opening scene from Guardians of the Galaxy where Quill is like dancing with the music, and then you see it from their perspective, and of course they don't hear anything; they just see this dork dancing around in puddles, and it was hilarious.
Yeah. I love that scene. And then Don Cheeto as Rhodey. Yeah, Rhodey. He's just like, so he's basically a dork or something like that. I'm like,
he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Oh, idiot. Yeah.
He's an idiot.
Yeah. And so I'm just like,
Nebula's like, yeah.
If you look at it from the other point, you know what? I'm going to only slightly mention this because about a couple of years ago, I was working at a Pizza Hut, and my boss had never seen any of these Marvel movies. And she finally saw Guardians of the Galaxy because her husband made her watch it. And she watched it. She goes, you know what, George? You talk about on your podcast, you keep saying you talk about all this stuff. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy, and I have to tell you, that one scene where the dude's dancing in the beginning and to all the 80s music, oh my God, I was sucked in right there. And I kept thinking to myself, wow, where is she now? Because in this movie, they're reversing it. They're like looking at like if you were a viewer watching him doing this, he looks like an idiot.
Well, I mean, there was a thing. That was the tone of Guardians of the Galaxy to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't understand why that's a
Right.
surprise. He was a dork.
But they only give us our point of view from hearing the music. That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah,
It
but
works
still,
from both points of view.
It does. It works from both points.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
I mean, again, I don't think if you haven't, it's like a lot of people have asked me, do I need to watch the other Marvel movies to see this one? This is the only time that I would tell them, yes, you actually have to see this movie, this movie, this movie, this movie, and this movie.
Yeah.
Yes. No. In this movie, you have to know the sequences. You'd have to have seen the first Avengers
You
movie.
really
You'd
appreciate
have
it?
seen.
Yes.
Oh, to understand it.
Yeah.
They're not going to understand that scene with
No,
Quill
you're
unless
right.
they've seen the first Guardians. They're not going to know what's going on with Tony Stark, Ant-Man, and Cap in New York because that all takes place in both not Civil War, Winter Soldier, and
Also, Adam, on top
Age of
that-
Ultron.
Okay, Adam, on top of that, I want to add something to my list I didn't originally put in my group. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Because the quantum tunnel.
Yeah, that was the whole.
Yeah.
That's how they found the whole.
Yeah.
You'd have to.
I didn't
mean,
actually add
you
that.
really have to have seen the 21 movies that
It's
came
a big
before
ask.
this.
It's a big ask.
Yes.
But that's the whole point. They want people to revisit stuff they didn't get. A friend of mine's wife.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Well, go ahead. No, I was just
I was just going to say that a friend of mine's wife said, I got most of the references, but not this part. See, that's the thing. If it's okay. If you don't get, you can. She still loved it, but she missed some of the references. She was like, what? She looked to her husband, a friend of mine, and he said that she asked, wait, I don't remember this happening. Reason why? She never saw that movie. And you know which one she didn't see? Ant-Man and the Wasp.
And that's one of the
And
that's
that's
one of
the
the later ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
it was
actually,
different. Go ahead.
but actually, one of the things in this movie that's so brilliant, and you see it in really the very successful epic movies, like Star Wars, the original. I refuse to call it A New Hope. Sorry.
It's okay.
Me too.
I have no problem with
and
that.
you see it here too. Is they stuffed so many references into every frame of this film. You have to see it more than once.
Yeah.
To really know everything in this film. I'm already planning to see it again tomorrow.
I've got to see it at least twice because I got to see it with my wife while she's on vacation next week, and I have to take my 13-year-old son to see it. So,
And that's totally understandable because
that sequence, though, the second when we were just talking about Cap, Tony, and stuff, the fight between Captain America and himself was awesome because you got
That
to
was
see
awesome.
You got to see the two versions of Cap. You got to see the jaded Cap from this movie,
Mhm.
and then the Boy Scout that was the first Avenger.
I don't know if I would call him jaded. He's just more. He understands.
He's
what's going on.
jaded.
He's jaded,
All
dude.
right, all
He's
right.
jaded. And then the Tony Stark dealing with his dad was awesome. But
That was
I think
awesome.
The best part of that sequence was the elevator ride.
By the way, I didn't notice.
Yes, the elevator. Wait,
The elevator ride.
You have to deal with
Yeah,
the elevator
sure.
ride.
The elevator ride where he climbs in
Yeah.
and it is literally the exact same scene from Winter Soldier. Or
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
Except he changes.
And
it.
I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for him to go before we begin. I waited for it. I was like, are they really going to have him kick everyone's butt beforehand? And nope, they flip the switch and he just goes, Hail Hydra.
Hail
And
Hydra.
I literally lost it. I was like, oh.
Well, it was a call out, of course, to that huge controversy in the comics.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people are posting memes about that on the Super Geeks.
It was perfect because it was just like you saw the look on their faces, Rumlow's face and what's his name? Jasper's face. Jasper.
Well,
what's it-
the reason they bought it is because they realized that there was no way Cap could know it was okay to say that to them.
Yep.
Unless
I think
he
we know that, George. I think we know that.
Not
Yeah,
everybody
but
knows that.
it was so perfectly done that it was laid out the same way that scene was. He
You
gets
know
in the
who was
elevator.
in that scene though? Captain Obvious, because we have him right over here in the corner.
It's over in that corner for me.
You're
Wait,
so
talking about me?
mean.
Wait, are you talking about me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. See, Adam, do you see what I deal with? I need animation so I
It's
can make
good.
Carlos into this dragon and he breathes fire on me. So
We have the box on my show. We have the
Sean
box.
is way meaner to you than I am.
I
We
mean,
shove people in the box.
George, everybody knows this. Come on. No, they don't, Carlos. Not everybody's a comic book
George,
artist. I know.
everybody knows that the whole point of saying Hail Hydra was
Who's everybody?
everybody who's seen the movie.
No. That's my whole point. Not everybody's seen the movie.
George,
Understands.
they even explained in the movie before that scene that those were S.H.I.E.L.D., but they were really Hydra, but we didn't know it at that point.
Wait. Did they actually explain that?
Yes.
Yes,
spelled
they
it right
did.
out.
Yes.
They had us. There was
All
a
right.
side conversation.
If you all say it's
about it.
true, then it must be true. Anyways,
And you've seen it 3 times, George.
I've seen it 4 times. But anyways,
Wow, just since 25 minutes ago?
did I
25 minutes ago, you said it was 3, I thought.
I like you.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I'm Captain.
Okay,
I'm
doesn't matter.
Captain
Oh my
Exaggerate.
God, his numbers are getting like Alec Peters. They keep changing. Oh my
I
God.
keep changing. I'm like Alec Peters, except never mind. So
Name drop.
no, this will be edited in.
Celebrity name.
Edited in, not out. So
In his own mind, maybe.
maybe.
See, I can say this because for one, I've got no stake in this, and 2, I really don't like that man.
I can honestly say that this will be edited in and let the sparkles fly. Anyways,
Let him fly. But
yeah.
well, we move from that scene to probably the most crushing scene in that whole sequence,
Which is take us away.
which is Hawkeye and Black Widows
Oh my God.
trip to
Yeah, that
Vormir.
planet, Baltimore, whatever it's called.
Vormir. It's Vormir.
Yeah.
Vormir. It was
Yeah, go ahead.
when they did it. It was like, oh, come on, and I really expected Hawkeye to take.
I thought so too. I really thought.
I really saw him actually being like, you know what, I need to do this, and then the look on her face, it was like it goes back to the first Avenger where she goes, I got a lot of red in my ledger and I want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Was
Oh my God.
her
That's what I'm
removing
like
the red from her ledger.
her ledger. Yep.
And I was like, oh, you're killing me. And it was just like, really, I would take 1,000 Black Widow movies over a Captain Marvel movie any day, and now you just killed it for me.
Deeper.
Did you notice, by the way?
You know what I love about the Hawkeye Black Widow relationship is that it's just such a simple and pure platonic friendship.
Brother sister. It's a brother and
Right.
sister.
But they
relationship.
hint that something might happen back in whatever that country was.
No, I don't think so. I think it was always a brother sister relationship.
In this case,
They've never tried to ship that relationship
they didn't.
for
Nope.
any kind of fan service. They've just had a pure brother sister family relationship between those two.
Yeah, I'm not trying to cheapen it. I'm just saying.
and it's been beautifully played out. What, George?
No, I'm not trying to cheapen it. I'm just saying in the first Avengers movie, there was a hint that something might happen back in Bosnia.
There might have been a hint, or Budapest.
But I'm not
there
like
might have been
Budapest.
a small hint.
But I'm not like, oh, I'm not on that ship that I'm gonna go. No,
George, I really
Sure,
don't think
it's
so,
not like
because I
that.
don't think that was they planned these too far out, and I don't think they ever planned for that. I think they planned for it to be exactly what we saw in this film. And
except
the
for
other
fuel
film.
fan fiction or whatever. But
I did not need to see her body laying there. I really didn't. That was and the fact that they played the same exact music they did when they dropped
Gamora.
Gamora.
off. It was just like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
But no, I think I think that makes sense. I think the mirroring, the book ending of that made sense from a visual standpoint.
So
And
let me
what
ask
is
you a
going
quick
to happen
question.
to the Red Skull? But no.
Guys, before we move on.
Someone explain something to me about this too. And this happened obviously in the last film as well.
Yeah.
What the fuck is the Red Skull doing there?
Okay. I can explain this because we've talked about this on my show. And when you go back and watch the original Captain America, First Avenger, when he gets pulled, if a lot of people assumed, oh, well, he just got sucked into outer space and died. No, he didn't get sucked out in outer space. He was taken to this planet. And that's where, that was it. And he explained it a little bit. He goes, in my search for these things, for this one thing, and my greed in that, this is my penance for it. I am now charged with this.
So
And that's
is he
why he's
like?
here.
Is he kind of like? Then?
He became the ultimate gatekeeper.
Hold on.
Yeah.
On. This begs the next question. Then is he redeemed now? Is he a hero now?
No, he is not redeemed at all. He is just
punished.
He's basically he is the
he's
captain
Sisyphus.
of he's Davy Jones. He's the captain of that boat until there's another captain, and or the stone is removed. The stone has now been removed twice.
That's a weird way.
Freeing him from he's free from that task. So the Red Skull is no longer bound to that planet.
He's like Atlas.
So if they want to bring him back, they can do whatever they want with him.
He's Sisyphus, not Atlas.
Oh, all right. Okay. But I agree with you that okay. So there's so much to unpack in this movie. It's crazy. So we get past that part, and then they move on to the next part, which where did we leave off?
They're building. Tony builds their own
time machine,
gauntlet. Their own gauntlet.
Yeah, their own gauntlet.
Right.
And they have the stones. They build the gauntlet.
Well, wait a minute. I think we skipped over the part where he goes back to 1970 because
no, we didn't skip that. We talked about that.
Here's the problem with this review is that it's such a long movie. It's going to take, by the time we get to it, it's going to take actually 3 hours. No, listen, so let's jump a little bit. So we go from that, which Sean, you just actually referenced, and Tony had this amazing, what I was going to say before other people wanted to talk, I have no problem with that. I didn't realize that Howard Stark was played by the guy from Mad Men. And Carlos.
Oh, yeah, John Slattery.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was the same guy.
Yeah.
He looked
right. You're a recent convert to Mad Men.
Yes.
I really wish they had
I'm like, oh my God, it's him. You know.
I really wish they had used Slattery in the Captain America First Avenger.
Still.
Yep.
That's right. They used a different guy, didn't they?
Yes, they used. He was also in the Agent Carter television show.
Yeah.
So he wasn't in the
original Captain America.
No, it was Slattery in Ant-Man and Wasp.
Right.
He was in the Iron Man movies, but but in Captain America: First Avenger and the Agent Carter television show, it was, what is the actor's name? Why can I not think of the actor's name? But he looks absolutely nothing like Slattery, but he looks like
Clark Gable, I think.
Yeah, but he looks more like Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
He could be his father.
I thought they did a good job in making them look like father and son in this movie.
Yes, they did a really good job with that. And the de-aging that they do is amazing.
Especially with
Michael Douglas.
I don't think the Michael Douglas one worked.
It was that wig.
It was the wig. No, it just looked so. They worked too hard on that one.
What about the Stan Lee?
Really?
I'm never a big fan of the Stan Lee cameos, so I don't really care.
His was really short in this movie.
No heart.
Yeah, it was pretty short, thankfully.
Carlos has no heart when it comes to Marvel.
I just think it feels very shoehorned in, you know.
It is, but I think that's the point.
Yeah, but it doesn't do anything for me.
It's okay.
I mean, it was his last. This was his last. He will never see him.
Obviously. Actually,
Dominic Cooper, by the way, was Howard Stark.
Because he's dead, George.
No, it's not just because of
guys.
We don't want.
If they could bring back Peter Cushing in 25 years after his death, we could bring Stan Lee back.
Jesus, you had to go there, didn't you?
No, I'm sorry.
Adam, you had brought up the actor who played Stark in Agent Carter. That was Dominic Cooper from.
Thank you, Dominic Cooper.
Oh, that's from the show Dominic. Yes, Dominic Cooper.
Yes.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of great movies, actually. He's a good actor.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, very diverse. Yep. I mean, it's like you go to that and then you watch Preacher and you're like, this is the same fucking guy? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they actually aged him up, actually, to be Howard Stark.
Yep.
Because he's younger than that.
Right.
All right, let's jump ahead a little bit. So we get to the Avengers doing their time travel heist, as you guys put
We
it.
passed that.
Right. So
we're at the snap. We're at the Hulk carrying the
we're
snap.
at the Hulk. He does the snap. We all agree that his arm is not permanent. Everybody keeps saying online.
We know, George.
Yes, it's not permanently
You don't have to
damaged.
tell us
It's
again.
not permanent. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so this is a setup for later because they're not sure if things worked, and then all of a sudden, what happens? Thanos has been getting.
We skipped all that. We did forget all of that.
The whole
what did we
Thanos
skip?
finds out.
Yes, because of
He finds
Nebula,
out.
which still doesn't make any sense to me.
It
It
does
still
make
doesn't-
sense. It
It
does.
does.
make
How
sense.
does Nebula? How does the Nebula stuff work? Oh,
I'll let
because
Carlos lead
Because Nebula's internal systems are monitored by what's his name? Thanos.
that's right. She's networked. She's networked.
And so he realizes that there's another Nebula, and they don't know, and they ultimately figure out that it's because she's from a different time.
Yes.
And then they take
She's
advantage of
time
it.
stamped.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so-
Nebula needed to change her IP address. They would have solved everything.
Yeah, well, pretty
She
much.
needed a VPN.
Yeah.
But
I thought that actually was a really well done plot device.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was. It was very well done, and it opened up the door for that last sequence because perfectly. It brought Zoe Saldana back into the mix, which because there was no way to bring her back otherwise.
Right.
And I heard a lot of people talking about, we'll get to this, but I heard a lot of people talking about how come she wasn't in the final scene. And we'll get to that because I know why she wasn't in the final scene. It made perfect sense why she's not in the final scene.
Make sure you bookmark it because we might forget.
I will. Okay, but
I'd say go
Zoe
ahead and
Saldana
talk
back.
about it now so we don't.
Okay. She was part of the snap. When that snap at the end happens. No, at the end snap, when that final snap happens, yes, when that snap happens, everything Thanos brought with him disappeared.
Thanos, come on.
Whatever.
Thanos. When Thanos
Wait. Okay, I get what you're saying, Adam, but when I thought the whole reunion scene between Quill and her happened after that. Am I mistaking that?
Nope, that happened beforehand. Because the snap was the last thing to happen.
You mean we lost her again?
We lost her again.
Oh,
we
God
lost her
damn it.
again. We lost her to that snap.
Wait, no,
Everything.
I don't agree with that because they went off to look for it at the end.
I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. Because they didn't even show that. That's why, and they're.
Well,
they're
I know,
pretty
but
specific.
Adam's logic is
I
sound.
get the logic.
But the issue
Yeah.
is because I assumed, because I didn't see her in the final scene, I assumed it was just because, she didn't have the emotional connection that her later self did. And so that's why she wasn't there.
But they went off to go look for her, guys. That was part of the plot, why him and Thor were arguing over leadership. To go.
Well, no, he was just searching to see if she was around.
That was the whole point. They were going to go. They actually talked about this in an interview. They're going. He's Guardians 3. He's off to go find her.
Okay, well, maybe she is around. I mean, either way,
I hope so.
We already know that comic book characters don't stay dead.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So
It's not like a huge argument. I'm just saying, like they talked.
they've introduced time travel. They've introduced time travel, which is something. So that opens a whole new book or a whole new can of worms.
That's true, but they've also sort of decoupled time travel. There's no more preserving the timeline.
That's never been in one.
No, it is in every other franchise.
But not here. They didn't worry about it. I love that.
No, that's my point, George.
Yeah,
is that yes, they've introduced time travel, but it doesn't have doesn't carry the same weight as it does in other franchises because you're not really affecting your own timeline.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right. They made that
the
clear.
best part
of the timeline stay the same. Just everybody comes back. That's
the best part of going back to bringing Thanos from 2014 to what is it? If they're 5 years later, it's what, 2023?
No, they actually detailed the years, which was interesting. They actually dated each sequence of where they were doing things, which was interesting because they went, okay, this happened in 2014, this happened in 2000. I was like, what? They're actually dating it. That was interesting.
Adam,
they went 5 years, and so they bring Thanos in, and this is from a technical movie making standpoint.
Right.
It gave them the aspect of no longer shooting on location in Atlanta on the Avengers set or the Avengers exterior sets, and being able to do that all in studio. And I'm sorry, but there were times where it was really obvious that it was shot inside of a studio, and I was like, "Oh man, your green screen in there is killing me." But it just brought it, because I really do look for that kind of stuff. Doesn't matter the movie, I look for the flaws in the effects because that's my background.
Yeah.
And I do movie effects.
I tend to be more forgiving of that, just because, you know, I'm more.
It draws me out of a story. So
I
it
can
draws me
totally
out of
see
a story.
if you know that technology, it makes total sense.
But I mean, I found it really funny because you could see the seam where it went the moment all that stuff blew up and everybody's climbing out. I was like, and now we're on a set.
Here's the real problem with that scene, that whole sequence, is no one died.
No one got hurt. There wasn't even a piece of rebar in somebody's leg.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, the chances of that happening are just, I'm sorry. Did you see the firepower that he turned onto Avengers headquarters?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
And nobody
not
died, nobody was injured to any degree. I mean,
and the van survived.
Yeah.
and the van, yeah. I did love the van. That was a nice.
But still, you gotta give it a little wibbly
Then
wobbly.
I'm giving it a pass.
The door opened from that scene. I mean, they blow everything up. Everybody's all thrown about, and it's Cap against Thanos all on his own. And we get that epic fight from the comic books of Captain America.
You're forgetting that amazing moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is the moment I was talking about.
This is the moment everyone goes, oh. And I have to tell you, I got choked up when it happened, because it's just one of those things you want.
What, the fight?
No, the hammer.
Yeah, Mjolnir.
Well, yeah, that's where we haven't gotten there yet. It was just
let's go for it.
because we're at that fight scene where they look and they see Thanos. They're like, he's just sitting there. He's waiting for us.
Yeah, but like Carlos said, that moment, when the hammer.
Oh yeah, that was people stood up and cheered in the theater.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was.
I mean, what Thor said it perfectly. I knew it.
I knew it.
I knew it.
Yep.
And it was just like he not only held the hammer, he used the hammer. It was just,
Well, that's
He utilized the lightning.
Yeah, if you're worthy, the enchantment gives you the power of Thor. So
Right.
yes.
And you know, it paid off also in another scene where they both call back their weapons, and he's like, "No, you take this one.
You take the small one.
You take.
No, we
crazy.
totally glossed over the return of Mjolnir into
We
the
can go back
MCU.
that, but I'm just saying
Yeah,
that
back.
was a great moment.
Because it was a touching moments between Frigga and Thor, where he gets to say goodbye to his mother.
Yeah.
Rene Russo knocked that out of the park, I thought.
Yeah.
And you know what? The fact that they got Rene Russo back, they actually got Natalie Portman to come back.
Yep.
For about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But they got her back.
They actually got everybody
They
back.
paid. I'm sure they paid.
Literally everybody came back except for Hugo Weaving.
Oh, really?
That's right.
Yeah. Hugo
Because they
Weaving was
got,
the only.
And no Agent Coulson, that jerk.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. complicated.
Well, no, because you know what? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comes back in what, a
And
week?
there's complications.
And they have already I don't know if you guys watched that. I watched the show religiously. When last season ended, because they went the alien route. They went the alien route, but no, they mentioned, one dude said the danger is already coming. Thanos is here.
Yep.
And because they were doing their own little thing with their own space travel adventures. And then that one alien dude was just like, you have no idea what's coming your way.
Right. But that's been sort of the complaint, though, that they don't.
But the complaint has been they haven't connected. But I'm with Disney, the advent of Disney Plus bringing the MCU to the screen, with the cancellation of the Netflix series, which didn't touch on them at all. I mean, they talked about it. That was it. They were not connected at all.
Right. Yeah,
but Agents of
not-
S.H.I.E.L.D. was always connected. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was always connected.
Yeah, but badly.
No, it was connected up until the third season.
They've done a good job with integrating Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The other
It was connected. It was only after the third season.
Well, Adam, hold on. We never heard a mention of the fact after the first Avengers film, which was like years ago, that no one has even acknowledged that the man has come back to life in any of the.
Because they don't know. They don't know. They were
But
a
this is
shut.
the problem.
Okay, after Winter Soldier and Shield was exposed, that was where the
But
break
even
happened.
Sif knew she.
But it was, yeah,
Right.
but it was.
Shield
We
went
never
under
saw
the-
her again either. We never saw Sif again.
She died apparently in the
When
When,
the break happened,
when his
this
sister-
this went on behind the scenes.
Hella.
This went on between Kevin Feige and
Yeah.
the guy that runs the television network,
Okay,
was
I'll
running
give
the
you that.
television
I'll give you that.
network,
Okay.
Summerall or whatever his name is. There was bad blood going on there.
Yeah.
That's why the separation happened. But now it seems to be coming back in house, and things are gonna.
So what do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're going to?
They're gonna connect it. They're gonna connect it a little more,
All right, I think you might.
which
be
is
right.
why they held it. Which is why they held this season.
That clearly has been the intention of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to begin with. You've got, I mean, as I pointed out, the end of season 1 literally was dovetailed. It was the pre-show for Civil War, or not Civil War, for Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
It did set it up a little bit.
It
Yeah.
goes right into it. The last scene of the finale of season 1 is the opening scene of Winter Soldier. I mean,
I will agree
that
with
was
that.
clearly their intention all along. And
But that's where the
it's
break
kind of-
happened
it's
as
kind of-
well.
It's kind of what's that?
It's where the break happened. That season is where it
Right.
diverged.
Right, and that's where it's kind of gone off and done its own thing since, but still loosely connected, as opposed to the Netflix series, which has been basically, oh yeah, this happened type
Yeah.
thing.
It's like you got a guy running around dressed like a spider, and Daredevil never mentions him once.
Right.
Really?
Different part of town.
Yeah, different part of town.
Yeah,
All right,
I'm
so-
from
Well,
Queens.
that is a distinction there. That what happens in Queens, nobody gives a shit about in Manhattan.
Basically.
So,
That's exactly it.
Queens is a whole other world. So is
it's like a different planet. I mean,
Yeah.
God, are there any heroes in Staten Island I'm unaware of too? They don't exist.
they do.
G.I. Joe.
You know,
G.I. Joe, they're in Staten Island.
shut
And they
up.
were originally up. Yep. Yes. The original Marvel Comics had their base right underneath, was it Fort Stanwyck by the
Something
Verrazano.
along those lines. Yeah.
Wow.
So we're going. Okay, let's. I'm not going in order of the sequences of the scenes, but let's talk about Captain Marvel's role in this movie, because a lot of people are talking about. I feel like, and I mentioned this earlier, I feel like they pulled her back a little bit.
Can I
Because-
stop you for just a
Go
second?
ahead.
Not
Go
because
ahead.
I don't want to talk about it. I do, because I love
Go
I
ahead.
really do love the character of Captain Marvel. But I want to make sure we leave enough time to talk about the character of Captain America.
Go for it. Yes.
His arc
Yes.
from the beginning of the Marvel movies right through the end. I want to make sure we don't
Oh, I'm not
go
gonna.
over that too much,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's a big deal.
It
It's a
is.
big-
Okay, before we even go there, I was born on Staten Island, so please don't badmouth it.
Oh,
I'm not. You know,
here's the
you know,
I'm on the East Coast,
you
man.
know the shit that Staten Island gets, and that's literally because that's where all the garbage is.
Yeah, and Sean was.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Yes, it might. Okay, you know what? Staten Island might be the armpit of New York, but it's not Buffalo.
Right. Hell yeah. And it ain't
got a
Rochester
point.
either.
It's not Rochester. Well, no, Rochester's not bad.
Now, here's the
No,
funny thing, Adam.
Dumb, dude.
Carlos has lived in the same state as me when he went to school, Portland, Maine. I'm in the general area, which is a different area of Maine. And Sean was born in New York, but he just happened to go to the West, like Carlos. So I'm the only one still in the East Coast.
I'm Midwest right now, so
Yeah. So all right. So you and I are cool. The rest.
So
of
you
them,
escaped, Adam. You know, applause.
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
you.
Oh, I
You
wouldn't
got
go
out
back
of-
to. I would
got
not
out
go
of
back
Staten
to New York.
Island.
Yeah, I would not. Oh, I escaped New. I went back. I lived there for a little bit after college. Moved to Florida. Now I'm in the Midwest.
So I'm trying to say that you and I are cool. The rest of them.
Oh, we're good. No, yeah, we're good. No, I just when people badmouth Staten Island all the time, it's like, hey, I was born there. Shut up.
No, I meant.
No,
They
it's all good.
spent-
It's all good.
I spent 15 minutes on Staten Island. I took the ferry, and I was
Same
like,
what I
I
did.
want to check out Staten Island. I got off the ferry. I got out of the ferry terminal. I looked around.
Turned around and went right
went
back to
back.
Manhattan.
It was like, there is nothing here.
No, there's nothing there. There really isn't.
basically what it is. I mean,
The best part about Staten Island, I will say this, and then we got to move on go back to the movie. Is after college, I knew a lot of people who lived in New York City. They lived in Manhattan. A lot of friends I made on the films I worked there. I needed a place to live. I had to find a place to live. My friends were all like, "Oh, you got to live in Manhattan." I was like, "You pay $1,500 for a closet."
right.
I found a 2-bedroom, 5-room, 12-foot ceilings, hardwood floor apartment in Staten Island for $900.
You know, Adam, I have to say that although I'm looking at an animated man who looks like a Simpsons character,
Scooby Doo,
okay,
or adult,
all right,
or Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
What I'm trying to say is that you're sitting there telling me, "Oh," and then we have to move on. I'm thinking the best guest a podcaster could ever have is another podcaster, because you're like,
We got to move on.
You got to move on.
You know, you're going, okay, we're gonna move along. And I'm like,
Yeah, we got to move on. We covered Frigate and Thor. We're now at the epic scene at the end.
Right.
well, if we want to be there, yes. So
I'd love to hear what you guys think about how they choreographed, not the actual fight, because that's a whole other thing, but how they choreographed and timed, I guess, the return of, well, everybody. The portals opening and
the dusted people.
Yeah, I mean, you knew it was coming, or at least
Yeah.
you know. I mean, they tried their darndest to deflect your attention from it.
Bombay! Yes.
Yeah. But I thought it was a great return. Like, Panther steps out there, and
as much as I love to watch the Wakandans, and that opened up, and you see all of them out there. Mm-hmm. It was the portal that opened, and all the Asgardians.
Don't worry about time, by the way. Just talk. I'll edit it.
I was like, because I knew the Wakandans were coming back. You knew Black Panther was coming back.
Right.
I forgot Idris Elba did not come back because he died in a different way.
Oh,
He was,
yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I would love to have seen him in that scene, but the door opened, and it was just like that. The Asgardians showed up. I was like, yes, it's on now.
I'll tell you where I actually started like really tearing up, though. It was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That one didn't touch me as much. I don't know why.
Well, when he started,
I think it's because he's got a movie coming out.
Okay, you remember when he talked to Tony and he said, and remember when he in Doctor Strange did the sparkly thing he always does?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Tony's expression, I was just like,
right.
I must have. Things got all dusty.
Yeah, things got all dusty. I love that. Things got all dusty.
Yeah.
And now it's 5 years later.
It was so pure.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
And that moment between
the hug
and
the hug was
nice. Yeah.
It was sweet.
The hug was a little touching because he was just like, he grabbed him. I was like, yeah.
Tony de facto looked at Peter as his son. We all knew it. But
do you know my favorite part of that whole scene where everybody shows up? The look on Thanos' face.
Yeah, Thanos. He's like,
it's the first time that you've ever seen fear on his face.
Yes,
because he was genuinely shocked and afraid at that point.
Yes,
he was staying alive
because it was okay. I'm up against 4 or 5 guys, and now there's literally 2 armies staring me in the face.
He knew the weight of everything that was going on.
Right, and he was, and it was right after he gave his speech about how it's never
inevitable, right?
But I'm gonna enjoy this shit. And it was right after that moment. It's like, oh, really? Yep. Really?
Now, he had already gotten beaten by the hammer, right? At that point?
Well,
he beat Cap back.
He
never really got beaten.
He never
Cap got smashed back. Yeah, Captain America had already gotten hit.
No, I'm
he was laying on the floor. Oh no, she shows up later. It was the portals. Yeah, but the portals open after that, where he hears.
We're talking before the
Cap, come in, and that's where it's like he's like, oh, and all of a sudden the portals opened up, and
just like
everybody came back.
What's going on here? Okay.
Yeah, and it was from there, and I don't know if everybody saw the posts. I don't know where Ronald posted it. That there was the scene that all the anti-women piss boys were going to scream and yell about.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, it was one of those
That was
It
another
was-
great pure Avengers kind of
Yeah.
of sequence.
Yes.
The handoff of the gauntlet. That was just.
Yes.
It was great.
Oh, don't worry.
It was a
We
male
got him.
Harry. It was a male Harry. A Hail Mary. That's
Yeah.
what I meant.
A Hail Mary. Yes.
Yeah.
Male Harry.
I know. I said male Harry.
Yeah.
And it's really funny. It's because it started with like the weakest Avenger, and he's running for his
which
life
one?
all the way through it.
Oh, Hawkeye.
Hawkeye had
Yeah.
Hawkeye has it at first,
Yeah.
and he's running, and he hands it off to Spider-Man, or Spider-Man grabs it. I love that whole thing. He's like,
Yes.
activate death or instant death, and all of a sudden the suit
Yeah.
changes, and
You'll have to re-examine
He's like,
it,
okay.
hear exactly what he said, but yeah, all the little.
he's like instant death, activate instant death, and all of a sudden the arms came out, his eyes went red.
I love. Okay,
I got this.
I don't know. There's a moment when Carol Danvers comes flying down after her big hole.
You really
What's up
love
there?
Captain Marvel, don't you?
No, listen.
You
there's a
can't stop talking about her.
No, there's a reason I'm bringing this up because he just talked about Peter Parker.
I just
So,
admit it, really.
She came down and did her whole like, oh my God, she's back, and they handled it so well. But there's and it's similar to a scene in the comics where Peter meets his relationship with Carol Danvers. He went on a date with her. People don't know that.
Sure, but this is not what's happening in the movie.
I know
So let's
that.
stick with the movie.
I know.
Because we haven't got
But it was a nice
because
call
Thanos.
because she was just like, "What do you got for me, Peter Parker?" It was just the whole exchange. He's hugging onto the bone and he's going, "My name's Peter Parker."
Yeah, it doesn't matter to us, George, because we don't know that.
Yeah, I mean that's completely irrelevant to.
It's
this,
not irrelevant. It's
to
just
this universe. Yeah, it is. That's
that. That's
Okay,
all
it's
I'm
not germane. We're talking
So,
about the movie.
Thanos gets his hand
Talking
on.
about the movie. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay, Thanos gets his hand. That's where Captain Marvel comes into play because Thanos gets Tony's gauntlet.
Right.
He gets the gauntlet. He has it on his hand, and that's where Danvers comes in and stops, grabs his fingers so he can't close his hand.
Right. He hit about certain. It's like nothing.
Yes. And they all jump in there. Tony jumps in. Thor jumped in. Right. Thor jumped in. Cap jumped in.
Remind me, who was it that there was that one point? It was really great point where Black Panther says, "Give it to me."
Yep.
Who was it?
Yes.
Did he get that from Spider-Man or
It
was from Spider-Man?
From Hawkeye. No, he got it from Spider-Man.
Oh yeah. No, he got it from Hawkeye, and then Spider-Man took it from Ben.
Spider-Man got it from Black Panther.
Yep. I watched it like 10 times. Anyways,
10 times.
well, because I had
From 3 to 4 to 10. You are Alec Peters.
Oh my God, is he ever?
I'm just saying. Anyways, so Peter Parker got it from Black Panther. So I'm just letting you know.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say how I know, but
Now the big Women of Marvel scene.
Yeah,
When did that
was
happen?
Awesome.
beautiful. With the Pegasus.
When did that? What was the point? When they were like,
It
she's
was
got backup?
after Black Panther. Oh, someone picked it from who got? It was when Captain Marvel picked it up from Peter from Spider-Man.
He says, "I don't know how you're gonna get it through to them."
Yeah, I don't know. Don't worry, she's got backup.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch says, "Don't worry." And then I forgive me for not remembering her name. The bald woman who's part of the Black Panther.
Okoye, man, how could you not remember? Dude, she is like. If I'm gonna crush on anybody in any of the Marvel movies, give me her. Boom, yummy all the time, man.
Bear with me. Right?
I'm gonna have to fan you off, Adam.
Oh, dude, she did not get enough time in Infinity War.
Adam,
It was just like every time she was on screen in Black Panther.
Really
it was
worried
just
about
like,
your wife watching, and maybe this is why. I mean, I don't know.
oh no,
But listen,
she knows. Okoye was like, I don't know what it was about her that was just like, wow,
I
man.
agree. But Scarlet Witch starts off with, he says, "I don't know how you're going to get." Captain Marvel says, "Do you have something from Peter Parker?" And he says his little spiel, and he hands her the gauntlet, and he goes, and then he looks. There's all these like things,
Right.
and he's like,
Chitauri and whatever else.
Sorry, like all that shit. And he goes, "I don't know how you're going to get that through all that." And then the next thing you hear is Scarlet Witch saying, "Don't worry," and then it switches to the woman you just mentioned.
Okay.
I'll try to repeat her name. That woman saying she will have help, and then all of a sudden you see Valkyrie land with her Pegasus, and then the Wasp pops up, and I love the way that she popped up. She popped up at the shrinkage mode, and she pops up and she kind of looks at her fellow women, was just like, yeah.
So,
Well,
and then rescue.
here's the bottom
And
line
then
of that
rescue
scene.
land.
Rescue. Exactly.
Here's the bottom line of that scene.
It was a woman's moment. It was a.
We had all these sexy, strong women taking action. How anyone can complain about that is beyond me.
There's no complaint.
Just grow the fuck up.
People will. You know they will.
Yeah, they will. And it's too bad because, like, again, to me, it was one of those really impressive parts of the Marvel Universe. And this is coming from a DC guy, because what they did was really show the importance of teamwork and self-sacrifice and all of that just played out in the midst of this huge CGI falderall going on around him. The humanity of that still comes through so powerfully, and I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out that unlike other attempts as they tried to do in these Star Wars prequels of just shoving so much shit in the screen at once, making the scenes so dense. They made these scenes dense, but you could follow everything that was going on.
Well, the important part from a filmmaking perspective is there's a through line. You had the gauntlet.
Yes.
The path of the gauntlet. It helped the audience keep track of what was going on. Whereas what you're talking about, the Star Wars battles, and we see this in so many, like Fantastic Four. You look, they messed it up. It's just there's so much crap going on. You don't know what to focus on, and it drives me the fuck crazy. And the fact that it didn't in this movie was
a monument.
Yes,
when it comes to that aspect of it, because you brought Star Wars up, I will never forget this because of the prequels.
Or forgive.
Because of the prequels in Star Wars being as densely just crammed full of crap. George Lucas in an interview after Return of the Jedi, when they asked him about all the special effects in the film and that it was so groundbreaking back then, in the interview, he looked directly at the interviewer and said, "The special effects are a storytelling tool. Without a story, the effects are meaningless." He seemed to have forgotten that when he got to the prequels, because it was all special effects and the story was lacking and wasn't able to carry what was on screen.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And like Carlos said, this movie, while it was literally that last scene was 99% special effects, was able to carry it because the story kept going and was part of the effects.
All right, let's move forward a little bit. So we know that like amazing shit happens in that fight. So, and we know like,
to break it all down would take an hour in its own.
It would.
Right.
So let's get to the heart of it. Shit happens. They win, but Tony and Black Widow are the casualties.
Well, we got to go.
How did he get the stones off the glove?
Well, that's
I have to say, it surprised me. It surprised me.
Okay, go ahead.
Right. I mean,
I wasn't surprised though. I didn't.
I see room for in that.
Well, okay.
I looked at my watch. I knew something. I was like, okay, we're coming close.
Yeah.
And when Danvers has his hand, everybody's all over him. He wraps his arms around the gauntlet, and then he gets thrown off. I was like, oh, he's got the stones.
Yeah, I left a little room for believability on that part because I rewatched it and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give it.
How he was able to grab all of them without
I don't think he did.
Dying?
No, he had to, George. Otherwise, this wouldn't have worked.
No, I think he willed them to come to his gauntlet.
Well,
What are you talking about?
I thought
that he had
what am I talking about? I think he willed them to come to the gauntlet.
He built that.
There was a contingency plan to get for his current suit to be able to pull those fuckers off if need be. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Well, I thought that was going to happen. I actually saw, because we've seen him pull suit parts from other places before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's done that. It's all done by mind now. All he has to do is think about it. So I kind of figured that he was going to pull the gauntlet off.
I thought it also juxtaposed with Doctor Strange when he went. And he had that. He knew that it was a.
It was the one. This is the one scenario.
I'm thinking like he knew that he had to might have had to prepare.
If I tell you, it won't happen.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, and was there anyone else that have a brief moment of doubt where you thought, "Holy fucking shit, they're going to lose this," during that
Yes.
final thing.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what made this movie
Okay, good.
incredible.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No, you're not.
Yeah, and that's what you wanted. That's what you want
Right.
to have happen.
Mm-hmm.
You want to feel like there's stakes and they could really lose this.
I really thought that was why this movie is making record
And
numbers.
Which is why it's also the
that's
reason
kinda
why
like
Infinity War didn't work for me.
Right.
Yeah, I can see
Because
why.
you knew
Exactly.
how that was going to end.
Yeah.
Yes, because you knew how that was going to end.
Right. Well, maybe. I don't agree with you, Adam, completely on that. But if you look at it as a combined movie, maybe. I'll give you that.
I mean, one of the things I took great pains not to do that you did, Adam, was I did not look at my watch because I didn't want to know how far.
I wasn't planning to. I really
Like,
wasn't.
I don't even wear a watch anymore. For that partly for that. I
wasn't planning to, but it actually wasn't my watch. It was my phone in my pocket was buzzing like crazy.
Which you should
Because I got about 75 text messages.
But you're in the movie. You're not supposed to even have it.
All I did was slide it out. I slid it out of my pocket to see if it was important because my phone literally was lighting up.
For any potential sponsors from the movie theater, which I sort of have, we will not have our cell phones on.
No, it was on silent. It was on vibrate, and because it was going off that many times, I was like, "Oh my God, what's going on?"
I put it into night mode is what I did because I was going to have the same problem.
Well, I've got kids in school. I had kids in school. I didn't know what was going on, and my phone went nuts. And I was like, "Oh my God," because it was buzz, 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 and I freaked. And I slid it out. I was wearing a hoodie sweatshirt. I just kind of slid it out of my pocket and looked. And I saw that it was just dealing with the soccer stuff that my kids play. I'm the coach of the soccer team. And I slid it out and I slid it right back in. And I happened to notice the time. It wasn't that I looked. It was just at that moment. I'm like, come on, I'm in the middle of the movie. Stop buzzing my pocket. So I just kind of looked and slid it right back in. And it was right around the point where Ant-Man punched the Chitauri thingy.
Yeah.
The ship.
that was cool,
where
actually.
That's where that happened. So I knew where the time was and that we only had a few minutes left of this movie. It wasn't going to go on.
I know exactly which scene you're talking about.
Yes.
Him
so
doing
I was
that
like, okay.
Pretty epic.
Yeah, that whole where they all just took off. I was like,
yeah.
That was a comic book. I've seen those pages drawn.
I have
before.
one minor complaint I want everybody to address. Is it a little too convenient that everybody, including aliens, sorcerers, and all these other armies, happen to be on the same frequency on the headset? Because it's kind of weird. Like, hey.
Why?
No, because it was left over from before. Of course
no. We're talking people that never even interacted. We're talking they brought in
assuming everyone was.
We're bringing all these sorcerers and Thanos. Everybody's just like, if you speak, your whole team, no matter how large the army is, even if they're from...
Whose side are you talking about, Thanos's? Or...
No, I'm talking about Asgardians of the Galaxy. We'll get to that in a minute.
No, I don't...
No, but it was only the keys that were on. And it was all of the... They were already connected. They were connected from Infinity War.
Yeah, they were connected from there.
It was Quill, Drax. Those guys had it.
All right.
Strange had one. Yeah. Juan had one.
Yeah, but Valkyrie had it too, and she wasn't... I don't know.
Valkyrie never said anything to anybody on the team.
Did. Cap said, "Do you guys see an ugly brown van?" She was up in the air and going something. She said something in response, like she was hearing it in her earpiece.
Maybe.
I watched it.
That's a really minor nitpick.
I know.
Yeah.
I have no problem with it. I'm just saying it's a little, it's not a big deal.
I will say that I did choke up at the end of that movie.
Well,
I can't say I didn't.
Okay.
I choked.
We should sort of move forward. Thank you, Adam, for sort of reminding us.
Move forward. We got, 7 minutes left of the movie to talk about.
Yeah. So all this happens, and Tony actually dies. He snaps it, and Pepper comes down as rescue. You know what's funny is all the people who they talk about this on social media, but Pepper being in the armor is meant for people to know that she was a rescue, which is her code name when she's in the comics was the female Iron Man. But It doesn't matter whether it was name dropped in the movie because
it never was.
It doesn't mean.
Didn't she have a suit in one of the movies anyway?
She wore the Iron Man suit in Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3. Yeah. By the way, that was the kid, as Carlos pointed out to me, in the funeral.
Before you get there, thank you for the spoiler. I was going to ask everyone before you went ahead and
I didn't know it was spoiled for me.
I already talked to him about that. Go ahead, Carlos.
Well, you already spoiled it, George. So.
Well, I already talked about this before the show, so I'm just letting you know.
The most touching part of it,
Yep.
of that whole end right there, when she comes down and she pulls Peter away from him.
Yep.
And Tony's just kind of like on the last, he's not dead yet, and he's just kind of off in his face. His whole deal throughout the entire MCU is that he never slept. They bring it up constantly. He was always awake. He was always thinking. He was never resting. They mentioned it in this one. She asked him, "But would you be able to sleep?
Whoa.
Or would you be able to rest?" He's like, "I'm just going to dump this in the bottom of the lake, and that'll be the end of it." She goes, "Yeah, but will you rest?"
I never.
And then she looks at him and she goes, "We'll be okay. You can rest now." And that's when he just kind of fades off.
Right.
That's where I was like, "Oh man!" And that was it. I was like, you know what? Now you got me. You got me. You didn't get me with. You got me a little bit with Scarlet Witch or with Black Widow. You got me a little with some of the other characters coming back, but now the circle is now complete, as it would be. It was like, okay.
And then they hit us with both barrels with the Steve Rogers scene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But where did the name Morgan come from for his daughter? I'm trying to think. There must have been I mean, is it Morgan, like Morgan Le Fay from a King Arthur thing, or
I don't know.
Where did that
Morgan Le Fay is actually a Marvel character.
Yeah. Well.
Yes, she is.
That's true.
So was King Arthur, but
I'm trying to decipher this.
The Black Knight.
Where did the name come from? Because it's not in the comics, by the way. This is something they did strictly, as far as I know, MCU. But where did they come out with that name?
What was Tony's mom's name?
I don't know.
They give Tony's mom's name in the MCU? It might be her name.
It's possible.
As long as it wasn't Martha.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
That would have been perfect.
But I can't think of where the name came from. That's why it makes me want.
John Favreau coming back and getting to cry a little bit at the end there. It was like a little choky. I was like, oh man, your dad likes cheeseburgers.
I'm so happy that girl is going to be endless.
The reference to the first movie, it was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, endless cheeseburgers. You know,
well, I mean, look, you guys know about the of course there was no post-credit scene, but the clanking when the Marvel title comes up is it's a bookend to Tony making his first suit when he was a prisoner.
Yeah.
Morgan Stark was Tony's cousin.
Where was the reference though?
It goes back to Tales of Suspense, Volume 1 in 1965.
All right. Was it in the movies? It wasn't referenced in the movies?
No, it wasn't referenced.
Oh, okay.
I think we're looking too much into that.
It's worth more.
Okay. The funeral / memorial for Tony,
which we never got Captain Marvel to get an actual reunion with.
It's not about her.
It's not about her.
I know it's not. Okay. They could have.
Right,
George. Had she had a bigger role in this movie, I would have gotten up and walked away. It was not her film.
All right.
It was an Avengers movie. She is not an Avenger. She was never an Avenger.
She is in the comics, Matt.
We have George's undying obsessiveness with Captain Marvel, and on the other end, we have Adam's absolute hatred of her.
It was not a hatred of her, but the story has nothing to do with her.
I get you.
Cap, Iron Man, Thor.
By a cartoon, I think it's funny.
No, I'm just saying.
Okay, but in this movie, she was necessary because her strength was needed. She was necessary, but the fight was not hers. This fight was not hers. The fight. This fight was.
No, I agree. I totally agree with you.
This fight was Tony and Thanos's.
Yeah.
That was the fight. The others were there for the ride.
I totally
Cap
agree.
had a stake in it. Thor had a stake in it. They all had a stake. Captain Marvel had no stake in this. And had she gotten a bigger role, and I'm very glad she did not. I talked about this on the Geek Easy. And they were all like, really? I was like, I will get up. If she comes in and saves the day, I'm going to get up and walk out. And she didn't. And she didn't. And that was the good thing. She was there to help, but she did not save the day.
Yeah. They reserved her in just the right way. They held it back.
They didn't make her the 7 of 9 of this movie.
Yeah. I see what you did there. All right.
So that's George is why they did not have a scene with her.
Okay.
United with, because it just would have been distracting.
All right.
Reunited with who? Who was she going to reunite with?
Nick Fury. She had one moment when she was in the same scene as the funeral, but they didn't actually interact.
No, they didn't interact. And
But she was coming back for the pager. That's why I thought, well, 1 second, just tell them.
No, she's not her story.
No, it's not her story.
That.
And you know what? That right there, even though that was the most staged camera movement ever in a movie.
Yeah.
Where it was like, they were all perfectly placed in their own little groups. And they kind of camera through everybody, leaving it on.
By the way, for anybody that doesn't know, the kid that was on the right side before they switched to Captain Marvel was a kid from Iron Man 3. He was Tony's...
Didn't even look like him.
I know. I found this at Carlos.
He's much older.
Yep, Carlos. Carlos was the one that pointed this out to me.
It bugged the hell out of me. I was like, who is... Because I was like, did I miss a movie? I mean, there have been 22, and I haven't liked all of them.
Yep.
And I was like, who was that kid? So, yeah, George and I were talking earlier today, and I Googled it. I was like, I think I just Googled teenager Tony Stark funeral Endgame. And boom, there's like 4 or 5 different articles on it.
And they answered the question. Like, he's
Entertainment Weekly, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, the Examiner from the UK, all told who it was.
Yeah. This kid was I love the way that they did that. Like, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Just, But that's who that kid was. He was a major character from Iron Man 3. But that's important because you know what? It's funny. It's not funny, but Iron Man. This whole MCU started from 2008. It started with Iron Man, and it ended with Iron Man. So in a way. And what's going to happen next is going to be a regeneration of the franchise, but they're going to then it's not going to be a reboot. It's going to be
it's just their next phase.
Their next phase.
Phase 4.
Exactly. It's going to be. By the way, guys, there's a lot of rumors going around that all these time shenanigans could possibly lead to the explanation of mutants existing in retcon. Possible? What do you guys think?
We already have mutants. We're just going to find out about the word. Wanda is a mutant.
But they didn't use it because they couldn't at the time, right? So
no, they couldn't at the time, but they're going to come to the. She's an X-Men.
She was experimenting like her brother, according to Avengers 2. Remember, they said they were like experiments. So I'm just.
Why
saying,
were they experimented on?
If you go back to Avengers 2,
we don't know, and we won't find out until they integrate the X-Men.
Yeah, until they integrate the X-Men.
I mean, they're look. Don't again. I hate taking too much stock in rumors. They'll figure out a way to integrate the X-Men into the MCU.
Fantastic
and the Fantastic Four.
Yep.
Don't overthink it. It's going to happen.
Namor.
Fantastic Four is going to be, in my opinion, the primary focus of Phase 4. Phase 4, Fantastic Four. I'm serious, and I've heard this rumor that's how they're going to juxtapose it.
Yeah, and I guarantee.
I mean, that's the first family of the Marvel.
You guarantee it? What, Sean?
Yeah,
Luke Skywalker will show up in the Fantastic.
Yeah, he will.
That's our little joke.
Luke Skywalker, played by Sebastian Stan, a.k.a. Bucky.
Oh, my God. He would make a perfect young Luke Skywalker.
Well, that's why everybody keeps saying it's going to happen on The Mandalorian. Anyways, it's like a little...
No, that's why you keep saying it.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not everybody, George. It's
Adam, just so you know, we have a running bet going that I'm going to win, that he will show up on The Mandalorian, played by Sebastian Stan.
The final 4 minutes of this movie. Please tell me that I'm not the only one that saw that coming.
Oh, you mean with Cap and Peggy?
Yep,
no, the Cap going back in time thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And knowing what was going to happen.
No, I didn't see it because they didn't.
I did.
You didn't see the setup? You didn't see the setup?
I saw the whole
setting it up
with the compass thing. I get that.
They set it up over several films.
Yeah, but I didn't see it.
Yes.
Yes.
I saw it, but up until the last second, I didn't, only because it was like it was almost like an afterthought. If that makes
when
sense.
He saw her in 1970.
Yep, that was
it.
By the way, that was the year I was born, so I was like,
they set that up perfect.
That
was like
1970, everybody. I was born that year, so.
And we'll bring him back now.
You're welcome. I'm here. You're welcome. Anyway.
I was so. I mean, I saw that coming. I knew it was going to happen. I knew, I'm like, he's not coming back. And then, Carlos is gone.
No, he's here. He just didn't want to be the deal.
I'm still here. I'm taking care of a dog.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we want to see the dog, man. Come on.
It was the old man Cap. It was just like, yep.
You know, it'd be really
Do
funny.
we think that was just
good
good
animation?
Go ahead.
If we could do an avatar of just this picture and like Carlos's mouth moving up and down on the picture, that would be fucking amazing.
That would be great.
Oh my God.
Why Bucky didn't go over the way Sam did
No, that wasn't the question.
kind of bothers me.
Oh, he should have been the guy that got the shield, by the way.
No. Bucky, no, because you know why? It gives them the opportunity to make a film called Captain America First Flight.
What? Well,
It's Sam. It is Sam. Sam was the one that needed to take that shield,
Are you
not
really
Bucky.
sure?
Yep, I agree.
All right.
Sam was the one that needed to take that shield. It was perfectly. I mean, had they handed it to Bucky, it would have been cliche.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the strength to. I'm just saying. He doesn't have the energy.
Okay, Bucky's not a super soldier.
No, yes,
You know what? In the comic books,
he is both in the comic books and in this.
Okay,
That's not the point.
Russians
It's
gave
not
him
the
the
point.
equivalent of the
It's a
super
completely
soldier
different
serum.
story.
okay, but
It doesn't
it's a
make
different
sense
story.
for Bucky to be Captain
It
America.
doesn't make and Bucky. It would have been cliche, and it would have been the obvious choice. But handing it to Sam meant more.
I agree.
Sam, because
Yeah.
Bucky would have just taken it and said, "Okay, I got this."
You know what? I'm okay
Sam,
with it.
Sam was like, "Nope, I don't want it," and he was just like, "No, it's yours. Take it."
He said,
You know, I look
Are you
at
sure? He didn't say
Bucky
no.
as I look at Bucky as he's a hesitant hero anyway, based on his traumatic experience. I mean,
True.
whereas you look at Sam as Falcon, that boy bleeds red, white, and blue. I mean,
Yeah.
he is your next Captain America.
yeah.
You know what? I wonder, being that there's going to be a Winter Soldier Falcon TV show as well.
Is there?
It's already. Oh yes, there is.
I didn't hear about that.
That one, that was one of the logos. That was one of the logos that was put up there alongside
It
the.
changes everything. I didn't know about that. Okay.
So there will
By
be a
the way,
Falcon.
Did you guys see I assume we all had the same trailers before. Did you guys see the one for Dark Phoenix?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I
Yeah.
did not have that one. I didn't even have a
Oh,
Star
really?
Wars one. No.
Oh, we had Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix is pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually the best trailer I've seen for that movie.
I'm gonna have to look at it.
The last two have just been really disappointing.
Right.
The last two movies have been pretty
epic.
disappointing.
Well,
It is Sophie Turner, and I know that Adam, you don't watch, you're not up to date with Game of Thrones, but she has emerged.
I have literally seen 2 episodes of Game of Thrones.
Listen,
wow, Adam,
the
what
actress.
planet are you on?
I don't do sword and sorcery. I don't do.
I
fantasy.
typically
Neither do I,
don't
dude. It
either,
doesn't
but
matter.
this is a whole other
Doesn't
level.
matter.
Yeah.
It's right.
And by the way,
It's
Dayton
a
Ward
different animal, dude.
said to me when I interviewed Dayton Ward, okay, and he told me, he said, I asked him, by the way, do you watch Game of Thrones? And he said, no, man, I don't do sword so straight. Just like you said, Adam. And then about a week later, his wife made him start watching it. And at this point, he's just like, oh, my God, I love Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It sucks you in, dude. It doesn't matter. It could be, honestly, you could take the entire franchise of Game of Thrones. I swear to God, I believe this is true. And you could actually make it Star Wars. You really could. I mean, it would work.
Well, that's why those guys are doing the Old Republic movies.
Probably.
Oh, really?
No, they are. That's what they're working on.
They've already announced it. Yep.
Yeah, they announced it that the project they're working on is the Old
We
Republic.
actually,
They're going
me and
back.
Raul talked about it on
Perfect.
our Star Wars show the other day. Raul, and this is a big news announcement. Carlos, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying. But seriously, they did announce this. It's the Old Republic, the guys that do Game of Thrones, they're getting ready to do it.
And then you got Ryan Johnson doing something else.
But what they have not announced is
Subverting your expectations.
TV or in the movie form. They don't know. What was that, Sean?
He said Ryan Johnson's doing something else. I said he's subverting your expectations. Is what he said.
What he
Now,
does
speaking
best.
of-
But you know what? I don't mind that movie at all. People keep trashing it.
I agree with you. And by the way,
I don't mind it either.
And by the way,
One bad
speaking of
sequence.
subverting expectations, Endgame kind of did that a little bit, like in a way that they should take note of. Like, it was done in a more, in my opinion, a better way. We got two, since this is a spoiler thing, we got two deaths, permanent deaths, and all right, a de facto death because Vision never came back, right? However, they did that announcement about how him and the Scarlet Witch are going to do a in the 50s. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but
Time travel.
right? I
Time
don't
travel,
understand
George.
but I don't know where
They do that now.
they do that in what point, because
They'll
Vision,
figure it out.
they'll figure it out. But the Vision,
Sometime between Ultron and
Hey, do me a
Infinity
favor.
War.
yeah,
Go back and watch Captain America, the first Avenger.
okay,
Look at the World's Fair. The Man of Tomorrow scene is there.
okay.
Vision
Is
was
that Vision?
established in 1930
And
something.
he was supposed to
38.
be.
It was
He was,
38.
and he was originally supposed to be the original Human Torch. Remember? For
Yes,
comic
that's
book
exactly what the
That's right.
Vision is.
For everybody who's for everybody who understands the purist comic aficionados, the original android model for the Vision was meant to be the original Human Torch, who was a member of the Invaders, who was a Captain America friend. So
Yes, him and Toro.
him and Toro.
Toro.
Toro got his powers from a blood transfusion. So, but they
So,
kind of skipped over that.
They'll find a way. They're going to find a way to make this all happen.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. I'm really
Right.
not worried about it.
I'm not worried
Again,
about it
right.
either.
I look at it's the same way as I look at the Star Wars franchise or the Star Trek franchise, especially with anything associated with Disney. Look, they know how to do this.
Yeah.
They've got.
They got a lock on it.
I'm not
It's exciting to know that we're going to get even more quality down the road, and anticipating the unknown. So
I will say, I'm going to say this right now. Infinity War fatigued me. I was already starting to get drained. Marvel has done this for 10 straight years. They started, and a lot of people can say I'm wrong, they were getting stale. Some of the movies kind of felt like they were rehashes. They all kind of looked the same. They had the same things going on. Infinity War was the cake, icing on that cake for me. And then came Captain Marvel, it was like, oh, dear Lord. But I was getting fatigued. And that's what a lot of people were worried about Star Wars, that there's franchise fatigue. And I think I started to get a little of that. I walked out of this movie and I was like, okay, fatigue's gone. This was good.
exactly.
All right, you guys.
Back in. Yep.
Let's wrap this up a little bit as far as this review. It was a great movie, but I'm going to start off by saying that I give this movie, I mean, I would normally knock a few points off for little things, but this movie has such a grand scope that it overwhelms all my negative points. So I'm going to give it a 10-10. In fact, if you go higher than 10-10, I would do it. But I'm going to go to Sean next. Sean, out of 10, what do you think?
I'm going to call it. I think this is the best movie of the franchise out of all 22 films.
Mm-hmm.
So it's. I'm going to call it at a 9, at a 9.5.
Okay.
I mean, I'm loath to give anything a 10. Really give anything a 10. So it was great though. I mean, it was just outstanding. I'll call it 9.5. Minor points taken off for minor little things that
All right.
I'm mentioning.
Okay. Adam, out of 10, what do you think?
9.
9. Okay. Solid 9.
It's right up there. It is a solid 9 for me, and it's right up there with Winter Soldier as being the best. I mean, I gave Winter Soldier a 9 as well.
All right.
Even though of all of them, my favorite would still be First Avenger, but Winter Soldier was up until this point the best Marvel film ever made.
I agree with that entirely. Winter Soldier was the best.
I know that we didn't talk about everything, but this is a 3-hour movie. I think it's very difficult for us to talk about everything, so we're doing the best we can. I think that
we hit all the. I think we hit all the solid points.
Yeah,
we did. Carlos, what do you give it?
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think it's solid 9. I think it had a lot. I'm loath to give anything a 10, just like Sean. it's a warp factor you don't actually ever achieve. But
it's difficult to hit that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But no, I mean, it was firing on all thrusters, and I think just most importantly to me, it was a story that was more about heart than it was about power, and you know, and I think on that basis, it was a resounding success above all the other films.
Yes, I agree. So, Adam, as we talked about earlier when we first got started, you are our friend from the Geeks-Avengers podcast. Where can people find your podcast, and when do you usually air it?
Let's see. We do 2 shows, and possibly I do other things. I will, as the Geeks-Avengers, I will stream video game playing and stuff. But we do 2 shows. We do an art show on Tuesdays at 9:30 Eastern, where we'll sit there talk geeky stuff while I draw fan art. Right now, we've been working on a Captain America that I was drawing, and then we do our regular 2-hour podcast or 2-hour stream on Wednesday nights on Twitch. Just look up the Geeks-Avengers, just like it is behind me. I can't move my head that far.
I like watching your animated head move.
Yeah, it is kind of cool.
It's back there, but yeah.
And hasn't your arm fallen asleep by now in that position?
Okay, I'll move it a little bit. Here you go.
Thank you. Oh my God. Blood circulation must just be terrible.
Wait, I'm just curious. Can you do a little move?
Oh yeah. Oh, there you go.
Thank God.
That's cool.
I was really worried.
But yeah, it's the 2 hour. Yeah, we do about 2.5 hours on Wednesday nights, 9:30. And those are our regular shows. Like I said, we're probably gonna have one on Saturday night where we're gonna rehash all this again, spoil the crap out of it, and hopefully get some people in the chat who have seen the movie. And
maybe like me
out there. If you're there, come on in. It's just bring on in. You followed us. All you gotta do is jump on Twitch.
Like bring your own beer, bring your own whatever, you know.
Yeah, bring your own. And you know what? We thrive on that kind of stuff because we are a live show and we need people to interact with us on the chats, and it's getting better. So
we'll pimp
we're
it
there every Wednesday. I mean, unless there's like something major going on,
like world event.
Event. You know what? I'm going to sit there because we're all loath to give things a 10. I think the only movie I would probably say that I would give a 10 for both technical merit as well as story, and that was Saving Private Ryan.
Well, if you give it a 9,
that would
maybe Schindler's List.
Okay. Well, we understand where your standards are at this point. So I get you. I try to reserve too. Going below, Shazam was the only other movie I've given in our reviews a 10. Just letting you know.
Oh no, Shazam! No, I will never go up that high for a comic.
But there was I had a personal reason because I grew up with the show. So for me, it was like it was a different. You have to understand, it has to hate certain beats to get to my level.
Yeah. And you know what, Mr. Captain Marvel, and I know you guys talked about this already.
Yeah.
And I know, Carlos, you're a DC person.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And I myself, I am a huge DC person. So when like Wonder Woman and Shazam and Aquaman. Now I like the Justice League movie. A lot of people I know what they were going for. I know the backstory, what happened, and why Warner Brothers tore the story apart and didn't let them tell the story they wanted to. Mm-hmm. So I can take it for that. I enjoy seeing all those characters. I mean, I got to see the Super Friends up on the big screen.
Pretty much, yeah.
And
it's hilarious to me how for the two of you, what the inspiration of your love for this is not the comics. It's the
it was
cartoons.
Well,
I mean, I know you love the comics.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, for George, it's and I love the Shazam, even though it was horrible, in retrospect, they hardly did anything.
Oh, but, the old 70s show?
The old 70s Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, it was so bad.
But I watched it religiously every damn Saturday.
So you watched ISIS too?
I watched ISIS too. The power of ISIS.
They better bring her in, man. They better.
Yeah, I mean, Super Friends, the Shazam, and the comics and stuff. So I mean, this is where I grew up. I didn't grow up watching Spider-Man and Captain America. I grew up watching the. No,
I agree with you. I was never a Marvel fan, but I will say this: the MCU kind of made me a fan.
When it came. It's like I will always go back. It's like I used to judge superhero movies by Superman the movie. That's how I used to judge them. And then Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah, that's a fair
came out. I was like, okay, because it used to be if you can tell a superhero story and make it that believable, then you got it going on. It's like I love the Tim Burton Batman movies, but they never reached that pinnacle. They never got there.
It's interesting that
They got there. They got there with the Dark Knight series to a point, but the Marvel guys did it better on screen, I feel.
Well, I think because they took a very coordinated approach to it.
Yeah.
And the problem with Warner Brothers is that they own all this amazing intellectual property and they just don't know what to do with it, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, they're stumbling around and luckily recently with Wonder Woman, with Aquaman, with Shazam, they've stumbled across some good ideas. And frankly, most of them coming together under the name Jeff Johns, who I think is
the biggest issue right now is there was too many cooks.
Yeah.
They got too much. There was too much.
Well, and the problem was the head chef was Zack Snyder. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
I agree with you.
Yep.
You know what though? He can get some amazing visuals on screen.
Yeah, he could.
Telling the story.
Yeah, for 300.
Right. That's the problem. You're back to your Lucas quote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just felt like DC should have taken the time and effort that Marvel did, and they just tried to accelerate everything so quickly that Justice League was almost set up to fail. And I'm like you, Adam. It is far from a perfect movie. I'm glad they made it. I love watching it. I love Ezra Miller's Flash. I love
Ben Affleck as Batman.
I do too. This gruff old man Batman.
The elements
I love him.
They just,
I pointed out
kind of discombobulated.
With Justice League, you can tell where Zack Snyder ends and Joss Whedon begins.
Yeah.
We'll
talk about it.
Now, getting back to my point with Captain Marvel, because you kept I'm bringing Captain Marvel back in your face.
Okay.
You kept bringing her up.
For a little bit.
When we have a female superhero, this is why I'm so looking forward to the Black Widow movie that's coming out. Which I still wonder how they're going to pull this off now. That
clone or is it a prequel? Could be anything.
It's going to be a prequel, but
I think it is too.
The Wonder Woman movie, we got to see the growth of a character that had her Wonder Woman moment when she stepped onto that battlefield in the middle of
World War I. Yep.
We had that that music kicks in and she does Wonder Woman.
It doesn't help. It doesn't hurt. You have a great composer too, by the way.
Well, and that's the thing. You know, you brought up Adam, and I think this is the first Superman movie, and Marvel is the worst at this. I don't know why they don't really pay attention to the music in their scores, because when you hear dun 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 dun, 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 dun,
which is
exactly
not too bad
what it is.
And you know what? When I heard that Danny Elfman was going to be scoring Justice League, I was like, "Oh, really?" And then I heard his ideas that he's like, "You know what? These characters have themes. No one seems to remember that these characters have music that go with them."
And they did that.
So when he used the Batman music that he wrote and John Williams Superman music, I was like, "Yeah,
me too."
Upset that he didn't use the Flash music that he wrote. But getting back to Captain Marvel, she did not have her Wonder Woman moment.
Nope.
She never. Correct. There was no grandiose.
Thanos.
What?
Thanos had a theme. Seriously, look it up.
Oh, we're past that, George.
I'm talking about.
We're talking about
Captain
music.
Marvel. Yeah,
I am talking about music.
I mean, I'm sorry. We're talking about
Captain Marvel, though.
Yeah,
Captain Marvel started off and ended in almost the exact same place. She never had that breakout moment where she got to just drop the cloak and just go ham. Yeah, she went ham, but by that point it was like, really? We're 7.5 hours into this film already? And I have watched it slog through the mud the entire time. Yeah. And we get to the point where all of a sudden now she's like, "Oh, all I got to do is use my emotions and look what I can do." I was like, "No, you lost me at this point, lady. I don't care." All right. And I was just like, "Where's your Wonder Woman moment? Where is that scene?" And it never happened.
All right. So, Carlos, And by the way, thank you, by the way, Adam, for joining us at the last minute because I asked you earlier today.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for letting me my animated form be here.
I love it.
It was great to have your animated self here.
Yeah, and like I said, Geek Easy is from my point of view for Super Geeks, you're our friends. We're friends. Like there's no anything but a friendship. Carlos, where can
with benefits?
With benefits.
Oh my.
Oh my! If only Carlos was here to.
Oh my.
I like seeing the cartoon you doing George Takei.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yes.
Yeah. Carlos, where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter at @cpedraza or at Axmonitor, on the axmonitor.com website, and on Facebook in the Axmonitor Facebook group and the Axmonitor page on Facebook.
Sean.
Axmonitor Facebook group, and of course the Real Super Geeks Facebook group.
Yes, of course, the Real Super Geeks. I'm there too.
And you guys can find us on Subspace Radio on Mondays. You look it up for the schedule. And also, so that's subspace-radio.com. Also, you can find us on Twitter, and you can find us on Twitter. I would actually have to look it up. I'll just link it. So, no, seriously, I can't remember off the top of my head. So, it's like the real, anyways, it's something. But, yeah, it'll be on the link, so it doesn't matter.
You know what? I think I've been on Subspace Radio.
Have you really been on Subspace Radio?
Well, yeah, back in 2011 because the Enterprise F.
Yes, you have. I remember.
I think I have.
I was working for them back then when you did that.
I did so many different shows and podcasts. I did an 11-hour podcast with a red shirt on.
No, I think you were because I used to be their head writer, and I'm still friendly with them and do things. So yeah, I think you were. Oh my god.
Yeah. Sean, did you ever get a magazine?
Yeah, Sean.
I'm sorry? Nope.
Sean, nope. I would say, hey, you want the PDF, but I'm not allowed to give it out.
You could, but it's
nope, I'm not allowed. I can't.
You can.
What magazine are we talking about?
Magazine for the Starship
Eagle Moss.
Enterprise?
Eagle Moss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they sent me the ship without the magazine. Everybody.
That's funny because I don't even have a ship.
Oh my god! It's underscore. No, it's not underscore. It's
You know what? Here's the thing, Adam. Adam, here's the thing.
underscore.
I want you to send me your address. I will get you the ship.
Oh, don't worry about it. I've already got the channels working. But you would really think that, I mean, being the only fan to have a Starship Enterprise that is, until otherwise, canon. I don't care what other people say. It has come directly to me from the powers that be that it is canon until otherwise. Until we see another Enterprise on screen.
Canon. My show.
It is. I can say this right now with all honesty and authority that until we see another Enterprise on screen, the F is canon.
And by the way, it's funny that it's F because my point is that I don't give a F because your Enterprise is my Enterprise because of my show Starfinder. When I did that, you were the basis of it. So Odyssey Class was our.
Here's the thing. I've had a problem with Eagle Moss. I subscribe to them from the beginning, and I'm up to like issue 147 right now. Okay, you see my collection is insane. Okay, but when I first signed up, they were supposed to send me as part of my welcome package was the All Good Things Enterprise. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I have called so many fucking times for them to send me. I even harassed them over at SKLV last year. Oh, we'll get it for you. Nothing. I finally had to take matters in my own hands and buy it on Wish.com. I'm fucking not kidding. So I'm at the point where like I think it's like the same with you. It's like they're supposed to be sending you this. They keep saying they're going to. You're not. I'm just gonna have to buy it for you because I think you deserve it. So that's.
Well, you know what's really funny? I would just give me an invitation to Vegas. Something. Just throw me a bone.
Right.
It was just something. It's just like
we're all going to be there this summer, Adam.
I know.
John.
I know. You know how many times John Eves is like every year I get a message from John saying, "Are you going to be there this year?" I was like, "No, I don't think it's going to happen. It's not in the cards right now."
This is the year you need to be there. We're all going to be there.
This is the year. This is definitely the year for all of us to be.
If I have the money, I'm going to get there. But this is what's great about doing these shows, because we can all pimp it and and try to donate and get people to donate if they want us to show up and say, hey, do you want to hear your voice? So that'd be awesome.
I'll start a Kickstarter.
Well, I wouldn't go
Being
that
done.
far.
There are people who do
Patreon.
that.
I know.
Patreon. Or
You know,
But will you have patches is the question.
oh,
Yeah, patches. That's what
yes.
you need, man.
oh
Yes,
shit.
I'll have patches.
We don't need no stinking patches.
We have super.
I'll have patches and COAs, the best COAs ever, and catalogs. You know what? I'll have an entire closet full of catalogs that I'll sell.
I have 3 of them now.
All right,
And
guys.
You'll
I'm-
randomly throw them on the bar at people.
Show's
Yes.
not necessarily over. This segment, though, where we reviewed this movie,
Avengers Endgame.
that would be the one, is over. I want to thank everyone for
You've seen
joining
it
us.
15 times.
I've seen it legitimately one time, or 2 times. No, 1 time. I have an
We're
invite.
not gonna talk about that anymore.
Oh
George.
shit! By the way, God damn it, I got an
You don't have
invite.
a show coming through.
Hang on, I have to pimp them because if I don't get my free movie tickets. So Adam knows what I'm talking about. Hang on, I have to look it up real quick. Auburn, Maine.
By the way, Adam.
Okay, I
love your nacelles. The nacelles on the F are my favorite nacelles.
You know what's really funny? Because I'll always say this: my drawing and
All
what
right,
they
I'm ready.
are 2 different things. So those nacelles are all cryptics.
Oh, really?
Because I just drew
love to
very
see what-
generic. Very,
Ah.
it's floating around out there.
You know what I would
Awesome.
really like if they made an XL edition of the F, because the small scale, the 3-inch scale, 3-4-inch scale doesn't do it justice in my opinion.
No, it doesn't.
really-
Mine either.
It looks good.
it
And
does
you know
look
what?
good, but
The
I
STO
really-
livery is so much better looking.
Yeah,
The STO livery is so much better.
I like the Odyssey class.
I just like the word livery.
Yeah, I like the word
Yes.
flagship, which is, by the way, the name of the movie theater that sent me a nice, kind little pimp earlier today. Flagship Theater, was that what they're called? Flagship Cinemas in Auburn, Maine. I want to thank you for your kind invite to allow me to watch it again, the movie I've
For
already
the
seen.
25th time.
For the 25th time. No, not 25th time. On this show, on this episode, I've only said it once, which is right now. So I want to thank them so that I can say I technically shouted them out because they're awesome, so that I can rewatch it and review it as it should be for future references. If you guys are living anywhere near Auburn, Maine, Flagship, go see them. Go to
we
that
give-
theater.
Maybe we give the address, George. Maybe.
Yeah, I eat their popcorn.
Where?
Walk up to
Auburn, Maine.
Auburn,
That's
Maine.
it. Show up in Auburn, Maine. drive
That's all
around
you need to
Maine,
know. That's
you'll
good enough.
find it.
You'll find it. Look
Googled
it up. Google it. I just Googled it. I just Googled it, and they're the ones that reached out to me.
You know what? This little rant, and this is like the first time I've ever seen George, and this little rant going on right here, I am 99% convinced that he's just Randy Quaid.
I am not offended by that. I'm actually kind of flattered, to be honest with you.
Well, there you go.
So
Everybody's a winner.
everybody's a winner. So I want to thank everyone for joining us, although we're not completely done.
Do me a favor. Just look in the camera and go, I can fly. I'm a pilot.
Wait. Give me some
It's
context.
from Independence Day.
Oh, yeah, that one.
No, even better. Just sit there and say, if that cat had 9 lives, you just spend them all.
If that cat, what? If that cat had, what? If that cat had 9 lives, I could fly.
Oh, wait. Here, you got to know this one. Shitter was full.
Shitter was full.
There you go.
Shitter was full, people. Thank you for joining. All right, so this was Super Geeks Endgame Avengers Endgame review. I would just say Endgame, but people keep boiling it with fucking Voyagers Endgame.
Good night, George.
If you made it this far, spoiler warning.
Oh my god! If you made it this far,
Sucks to be you.
I'm pretty sure people know we're not talking about
thank Christ we don't live stream this yet.
episode.
Oh man.
For real, sucks to be you if you got this far and you just realized that we
Got
spoiled
this
it.
far, and you just realized this. Adam will be joining us at any random time that we get his approval. But otherwise, it sucks to be you.
And I will change my shirt, I promise.
He already did it twice today. I saw it. Anyways, thank you for joining us. And you know what?
That's what. That's what.
I'm waiting for somebody to fill in the blanks. Nothing. All right, Sean, I was waiting for you. I was hoping you would just say something funny.
Pants.
There you go. All right, we'll join you the next time. Thank you, Adam, for joining us.
You said that 7 times.
I know.
We do thank you, Adam.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, thank you.
Well, you know what? We may have said it 7 times, but not in animated.
You've seen the movie 25,000 times.
No, I have seen it.
It's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
Oh my God. Let's quit.
Well,